p.m. We are at the Cape Canaveral City Council regular meeting at the City Hall Council Chambers located at 100 Polk Avenue in Cape Canaveral, Florida. I call this meeting to order. And with that, Councilmember Willis, would you please lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. City Clerk, please call the roll.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem Jackson.
Here.
Councilmember King.
Here.
Mayor Morrison.
Here.
Councilmember Shoryak.
Here.
And Councilmember Willis.
Here.
Thank you, City Clerk and City Council, for being here, and all of our city staff and members of the community. We appreciate you, and happy St. Patrick's Day. We are here to approve the agenda as written. And it just sounds like there might be a little echo or reverb going, or another person in there.
One item.
Just one item, Mayor, about the agenda.
Yes, sir.
If the council would consider moving 5-2 up in advance of 5-1.
Yes, I spoke with Ms. Sherman and the auditors, and there's no issue there as long as this council's okay. We are approving the agenda as written or with amendments. That'd be the first request of an amendment to move 5.2 up to 5.1, as our city manager said. See consensus? All in favor? Good.
All in favor?
And one just amendment, I guess you'd say, is when we get to the James Moore audit presentation, we are not only receiving the presentation, but we are to accept it as well. So I think we'll need a formal vote at the end of that presentation. With that, we will go ahead and move forward with item 5.2, which is a proclamation and presentation for the 60th year anniversary as a council manager form of government. And we have Ms. Suzanne Sherman representing the City of County Managers Association. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me? Oh, yes, you can. All right. Good evening. Thank you so much for having me. Yes, my name is Suzanne Sherman. By day, I'm the assistant city manager for the city of Sally Beach. I've met several of you before, and it's a pleasure to see you all again. But I'm here tonight on behalf of the Florida City County Management Association to recognize you all for an impressive and very important milestone, which is achieving 60 years as a council manager form of government. We don't take that lightly. That's a big deal. It's something we celebrate. As people that are professionals in the local government management profession. And if you will indulge me, I'll read a brief statement, and then I've got a plaque to present to you all. We can take a little picture if you like. But I would like to first say that it's a pleasure to be with you all tonight, and I like your motto, so I call this the land of sun, space, and sea, as you do, the beautiful city of Cape Canaveral. As an active member of the Florida City and County Management Association, and on behalf of FCCMA, it's my privilege to present the City of Cape Canaveral with a certificate celebrating your 60th year as a council manager form of government, as recognized by the International City and County Management Association. On behalf of the officers, board of directors, and membership of FCCMA, we offer our sincere congratulations for this milestone achievement. The council manager form of government for both cities and counties was created to separate administration from direct political influence and to establish merit-based practices within local government. It is modeled after a corporation's framework, with voters or stockholders selecting a commission or board of directors, who in turn appoint a manager, a professional executive, to advise the commission or council and implement its actions through policies and ordinances. In Florida, nearly 70% of all 411 cities, towns, and villages operate under the council manager form of government. And of the 67 counties in the state, all but 2 are professionally managed. You're in good company. The City of Cape Canaveral is recognized as a champion of the council manager form of government. You can be proud that you have a council, yourselves, and staff that work together in a professional manner to make decisions and establish policies that are in the best interests of your stakeholders. As evidenced by your mission, you seek to provide excellence in municipal services by supporting a high quality of life, fiscal responsibility, and environmental stewardship, sustainability, and resiliency while celebrating diversity and fostering innovation. Having worked in local government in Brevard County for over 20 years, I have seen firsthand and want to commend you all for the work that you all do every day to serve Cape Canaveral with excellence. The dedication of City Council and staff is evident in all that you're able to accomplish together. From your well-known annual seed oat planting event to your ongoing investments in your infrastructure to your reputation for innovation and resiliency, like installing Moby mats back in 2017 and your unique and inspirational Cape Center, you inspire pride and confidence within those in your community. Cape Canaveral is truly fortunate to have a professional and dedicated leader in your city manager, Keith Touchberry. Keith's leadership experience in local government and his decades of service as a law enforcement officer is a true blessing to your city. His commitment to improving city operations and working alongside council and staff exemplifies the power of collaboration and professionalism in local government management. It is the symbiotic relationship between the city council and the city manager that is a testament to a professionally managed organization as well as to the city's vision to be a warm, inclusive beachside community that embraces its small town feel and enhances the beauty and integrity of its natural environment. Again, on behalf of FCCMA and all the other council manager communities within Brevard County and the state of Florida, we congratulate the City of Cape Canaveral on this milestone achievement of being a council manager form of government for 60 years. Congratulations to you all.
Thank you.
And however you'd like to do this, I have a certificate, and you have a proclamation, sir.
I'm going to come down there and
Yes, sir.
read the proclamation,
Okay.
and then council with the certificate and the proclamation, if you would join me with Mr. Touchberry, we'll go down and do a photo. Thank you.
Sir.
This is an official proclamation of the City of Cape Canaveral recognizing the International City and County Managers Association, City Managers Association. Whereas in 1914, the International City County Management Association, ICMA, was established as the City Manager Association and is the world's leading association of professionals dedicated to create and sustain thriving communities throughout the world. And whereas the Florida City and County Management Association, FCCMA, a nonprofit organization, was chartered in 1946 to elevate professionalism amongst the state's 478 municipalities and counties to promote the council manager form of government as the form that advances the highest ethical and professional standards. And whereas the residents elected to incorporate the City of Cape Canaveral council manager form of government on March 10th, 1962, and whereas on May 16, 1963, the City of Cape Canaveral's charter under House Bill 167 required City Council to appoint a city manager to be the administrative head of the city, and whereas the City Council at its August 4, 1964 regular meeting enacted Ordinance 6423 appointing J.D. Badgett as its first city manager, where since that time 11 city managers were appointed, serving at an average of 5 years. And whereas on August 1st, 2025, Keith M. Touchberry was selected unanimously by the City Council, endorsed by the community and staff as the 12th current city manager. And whereas city managers are responsible for the effective administration of all city departments, prepare the city's budgets, recruit and terminate city staff, serves as the chief advisor by providing complete and objective information about local operations, discussing options, offering an assessment of the long-term consequences of decisions, and making policy recommendations, and carries out policies established by the City Council. And now, therefore, I, Wes Morrison, Mayor of the City of Cape Canaveral, by virtue of the authority of said office, do hereby recognize the city's tenure with the Florida City and County Management Association celebrating its 60th year anniversary as a council manager form of government, and support the missions of ICMA and FCCMA to create excellence in local governance by developing and fostering professional management to build sustainable and better communities. Council, if you want to come down and join me and Ms. Sherman, we'll go ahead and present. Thank you. Come here to me. I just want to say to that, you know, we do budgets here, and that proclamation really said it best, and there's no more important investment than our people. And in this form of government, our city manager carries a lot of responsibility. So you are appreciated, and we are continuing to invest in you and believe in you. So thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council.
So at this time, we will go with the James Moore audit presentation. And again, we have got Mr. Michael Massano, a CPA, here with James Moore to present. We will vote at the end when we're finished if there's any questions to receive and accept this presentation. And with that, Mr. Massano, you have the floor.
Thank you, Council. Just wanted to start off the presentation by thanking John and his team. The audit is a long and grueling process that requires quite a few support requests, questions to be answered, amongst other things, and his team is always ready and always willing to provide whatever is needed for the audit. So thank you to John and his team. Go to the next slide. Oh, do I have the clicker? Okay. Great. So on the next slide here, you'll see the GFOA Certificate of Achievement. The city was awarded the certificate again for the prior year's ACFR. Some notable additional items included in the ACFR that the city is required to provide in order to receive the certificate are the transmittal letter, expanded supplemental information, and statistical section. And then I also wanted to to provide a little bit of context. James Moore does 45 different audits of municipalities, and Cape Canaveral was the 5th audit to be completed this year, which speaks to the timeliness of the audit process, again, to the team and being able to have the information in order and ready to be audited. So again, that just to kind of give a little bit of context on the timeliness of the audit. 5th out of 45 is quite good in comparison to all the different municipalities that we do as a firm. So. Moving on to the next slide. So this is sort of a breakdown of all the different reports that you'll find within the ACFR. Starting with the audit report, you'll see that we did issue an unmodified opinion. That's the best possible opinion that we can issue, essentially signifying a clean audit with no issues. Next, you'll see the Florida Single Audit Report. Again, here we had no internal control or compliance matters reported, so a clean report from that standpoint. The Internal Control and Compliance Report, which is essentially the work we do over the city's internal controls in regards to our tested controls. The city had no internal control or compliance matters reported. The Auditor General Report. So we did have 2 other recommendations that you'll find in this report. The first one being in regards to the unfavorable financial condition. So part of the audit process is we do a series of benchmarking and trend analysis, and based on the results of that, the city did receive an unfavorable score. We'll touch a bit more on that within the next slide. And then the other recommendation is related to the audit adjusting journal entries. This one is a pretty standard recommendation and more so has to do with just some of the timing of certain accruals, not necessarily to do with any sort of misstatement or issue with the balances. And then finally, the independent accountant's examination report. We noted the city was in compliance with all specified investment statutes. So on this slide here, you'll see the general fund balance with the various categories presented over the last 4 years. Kind of what we alluded to, you can see that the total fund balance has trended negatively since 2022. The breakdown being $228K in restricted, $527K in committed, $3.8 million assigned, and zero in unassigned in fiscal year 25. And just to add a little bit more detail down at the bottom, you'll see that the unassigned fund balance was fully depleted with zero in unassigned fund balance, meaning that if unassigned reserves would be fully depleted based on the use of reserves to balance the fiscal year 25-26 budget. And that's assuming that all your revenues and expenditures came in according to the budget. We also note that this is a repeat audit finding, so this is the second year we've had that finding. If the comment were to be repeated again next year, the JLAC, the Joint Legislative Audit Committee, would request a response from the city, just basically explaining the city's plan to avoid that being the issue going forward. Going on further about the general fund, so here is the GFOA minimum recommendation. Taking unassigned and assigned fund balance as a proportion of total 2025 expenditures. You can see that the city was at 20.9% as a percentage of assigned and unassigned proportionally against its expenditures and transfers out. So it was above the GFOA minimum recommendation of the 2 months. We always like to mention that this is a minimum, and the GFOA has a number of reasons why you would want to be in excess of that minimum. So the city is pretty close to the minimum of what the GFOA recommends. So, and that just relates to sort of the city's resiliency and sort of an unforeseen circumstance when it comes to expenditures. Switching gears to the enterprise funds. So this slide gives you the history of the unrestricted net position of the wastewater and stormwater funds. You'll see that there has been positive increases over the last 4 years in both wastewater and stormwater, which is nice to see. Some other key highlights. So along with the ACFR, we do also issue an audit opinion on the CRA. We had no findings related to the CRA. Which is great there. Revenue, just some notable items on the CRA. So there was revenue over $2.8 million in fiscal year 25 and $2.5 million in fund balance related to CRA. And then on the debt side, the city had $1.3 million in wastewater SRF loan drawdowns, $1.4 million in total current year debt principal repayments, split with $760K being allocated towards governmental, $644 being allocated towards wastewater and stormwater. And you will find that the interest rate ranges of all the city's debt obligations are between 0 and 2.05%. So very low in terms of interest, and like we like to call that very healthy debt from that standpoint. And then from there, I think that covers everything. Any questions on any of the information?
Thank you, Ms. Massano. Council, any questions? No. Mayor Pro Tem?
Well, I have some questions and some statements. So on the unassigned that is at 0, from my meeting with the auditors, we discussed the fact that the unassigned is our reserves. Are there any additional reserve accounts anywhere within our budget, or is this the only reserve account?
So the unassigned is theoretically the funds that have no other restricted purpose being either assigned or committed for any other reason. So that would be 0 from that standpoint.
Okay. And at the end of 2024, we have 1.4 million and some change, and 92,504. And I don't understand how this gets to 0, except for as I met with our auditors, we discussed the fact that the unassigned, which is our reserves, also is lumped in with revenue and expenses. And so you and I had discussed the fact that we could have a fund for hurricanes and storms and that sort of thing, and put our reserves into that fund, and then that fund would not be spent without council's approval. I have a problem with the fact that last year we voted our budget in and we looked at having 16.7% put into this, and we had 1.49 million last year, and we're at 0 this year. And I know that in the audit information it points to the fact that there was not an increase in taxes, but that points to me to spending. Because if we're supposed to be putting in 16.7 and that did not go into this fund, then we overspent, and is the way that I'm looking at it. So that's a concern to me, and as we move forward looking at budget and the things that we want to look at, I truly believe that our reserves need to be in a separate fund so that that comes before council before it's ever spent. It's a concern to me. I can't do my own finance or business finances, having it all lumped together and expect a good calculation at the end of the year if I'm looking at having my reserves just lumped in with my expenses and revenues. So that's one observation I had, Mayor and Council.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Yeah, I think, again, thank you, Mr. Misano and James Moore, for the audit and taking time one-on-one. There's a lot. It's required every year. Our city staff works hard getting it together, and it's quite a process from the beginning. And the one thing I just want to clarify is the slide. Just had it. I think it's one slide back, if we can go, on the presentation. It was provided here for me.
Sorry, the
Can we
clicker is not
From the
responding.
screen backwards. It's
Oh, there we go.
page number, I think it's 5, the one that says general fund continued.
This one here?
Right there, yes, perfect. So this 20.9% is the calculation of assigned and unassigned, with unassigned being 0. That's pretty much 100% assigned. The GFOA minimum calculates assigned and unassigned?
That's correct, yes.
Thank you. And then the statements that were made in the report was factoring our
City policy.
city policy, which is just unassigned.
Right.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We will, I think, formally accept and then, accept and approve, I guess, the audit. My question maybe for our city manager, finance director, we will be getting into our first workshop soon, I think, right? It's usually, we used to do the strategic in March, because I think it makes sense to address some of the things Mayor Pro Tem's talking about.
April 2nd.
April,
We-
very
we-
soon.
We're in the planning process, but we've already went ahead and based on when we get the CIPs together, and April 2nd is the date that would be coming to council, probably was going to be coming to council probably next week.
Okay.
Because the CIPs are done, we're going to put everything together. The city manager, myself, and directors need to meet one more time. And then the whole layout of the CIPs that we'll present will be on April 2nd, and we'll discuss that. And at that time, council can make decisions about, how critical some of these CIPs are, because that will be the starting point of moving the arrow up.
Thank you. So April 2nd, is that one where it's before a council meeting? I guess my statement would be, I think we want to make sure we have enough time.
That's one of those all-afternoon
Okay,
meetings.
great.
Yeah, that's not a council meeting, Mayor. That's when we do the whole,
Okay,
from, say, 10 to 4 or 12 to 6. Yeah.
that's excellent. Thank you. Council, any other questions for our auditor, city staff? If not, thank you. We'll go ahead and move forward. I'll need a motion to approve and accept.
I'll make a motion to approve and accept the 2025, 2026 audit.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilmember Willis and a second by Councilmember Shoryak. Any further discussion? Seeing none, City Clerk, please call the roll.
Mayor Pro Tem Jackson,
4.
Councilmember King,
4.
Mayor Morrison,
4.
Councilmember Shoryak,
4.
Councilmember Willis.
4.
Passes 5-0. Thank you again.
Thank you
Please
all.
tell Zach said thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Mayor, I would just like to say, James Moore's support, it's really goes above and beyond because, and I know I've said it before, but we could have a question and these guys could be driving down the highway and they'll call you back in 5 minutes to give you support. And you really don't get that from anybody else. So I just want to thank you, Mike, and your team.
He took my call on his way to another client, I think, today. So yeah, to echo that, thank you again. All right, excellent. So this time we're back on the standard order. We've got our final under presentation interviews, item 5.3, which is an applicant interview for the Culture and Leisure Services Board. Interview to recommend the applicant, Ms. Joyce Downing. I think I've seen her here. If you'd please come forward, who is seeking the appointment to that board. Take your time, and our city attorney, once you get there, I'll have a couple of questions and look forward to it. City attorney.
All right. Good evening.
Good evening.
Just a couple of quick questions. All the information in your application is true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
And please explain to the council why you would like to serve on the Culture and Leisure Services Board.
Well, I would like to apply to this board because I'm very proud of my city and all the things that it offers to its residents. I love the city spaces, I love the activities, and I really want to be part of that going forward. Again, I'm so proud of this place. I've been here for 25 years. I knew it back in the 80s when it was just a little rinky-dink town, and now I see its growth, and I am very interested in being part of that. I have a background in community health. I just retired as a physical therapist for over 30 years, and that is a career that gave me great pleasure, but it never leaves you. So I'm always interested in community health activities, aging in place, anything that will help with physical and mental growth. So that's really why I want to be on this board.
Thank you. This time, council, no particular order. This is an interview. Any questions? Councilmember King.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi.
And welcome, and thank you for offering to volunteer to help out with the city. If you had to outline one objective that you'd like to accomplish during your service on this board, what would you like it to be?
Well, I know the city is going through issues with the payment schedules for our community activities. I would like to be part of that. I don't think there's one particular thing I would like to do. I have several things in my head I think about when I'm walking my dog at Manatee Park, and things that I would like to do for our older residents, but then I'm inspired to do something for our younger residents as well. So I don't think there's just one thing, but if you forced me to pick something, then I would love to have a meet and greet committee. I would love to have something where new residents or potential new residents would be able to come to meet and greet people that live here already, or somebody like myself who would just really love to promote the city. And maybe that would be what I would focus on first.
Okay, like a welcome wagon type of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you so much for your interest. I think that's wonderful. And having used a physical therapist myself in my lifetime, I know how important that role can be. How do you see the ability to take your past life as a physical therapist and possibly mold it with programs and services within the Culture and Leisure Board? I think that there's opportunities there for people as they recuperate from various things and that sort of thing.
Well, there are lots of opportunities to use what I know from physical therapy. And also from my background, I have a professional classical ballet background, and I also was in the leisure business. I ran a casino for 8 years on board Norwegian Caribbean lines. So it's not just physical therapy that I want to bring to this, but it's a whole range of leisure activities too. It's an advisory board, so I'm not sure how much I want to promote things that, I don't know what the city are really working on at the moment. I love to volunteer with Molly's staff. I absolutely love that. But there are opportunities to expand our summer camps activities, our children's activities. I keep hearing about the thing that Mr. Purvell doesn't like, the concession stand.
Yes.
I keep thinking, hey, we could do something with that concession stand. We could make it work at some other time for some other kind of activity. Surely that's not the only thing we can do with that. So yeah, I have a bunch of ideas, but I don't really want to talk about all of them yet.
Well, and that's great. It was really somewhat hypothetical, and you already have my support. If you can do those toe shoes in ballet, you've got all my respect.
Yeah, but I can't walk now.
Exactly. Thank you so much for your interest.
Thank you.
Councilmember Willis.
Ms. Downing, I want to thank you for your willingness to serve the city. I think this is great. I've run into you and your husband quite often at functions around the city, and I know you're very involved, both you and your husband, and we really appreciate it. And I know if we ever need another revenue source, we have somebody with some experience. So maybe, who knows? But I want to thank you for your willingness, and I know you'll do a great job for us.
Thank you.
Member Shoriat.
I just wanted to thank you for stepping up to volunteer to help make our city better. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Ms. Downing, thank you. And when I think about Cape Canaveral, so many faces pop up, and just the energy and the spirit of this community. Like you said, I see you out, and you're one of those people, and you've been so involved, and we are thrilled, as you can hear, that you're seeking ways to advise. And I think Mr. Purvell, you're going to be good for him. And with that, I'll say he submitted some comments here that I wanted to share as the chair of that board. He says, "Good morning. I would like this to be read for public comment, please. First, I would like to apologize for not being able to attend tonight. He's volunteering for the Space Coast Little League at the City Park Field tonight. Is he working at the concession stand?" So he says, "The purpose of this comment is to offer my support to Ms. Downing as an applicant to the Cultural and Leisure Services Board and as the chairperson person of that volunteer board, it is my opinion only that Ms. Downing will offer our board a different view on how we, our city, possibly can improve our culture arts. With her professional background in dance, theater, and cruise ship organization, she will offer and provide an additional and diverse perspective from the experiences of the current board members. Our board currently has experiences in business, senior living, athletics, and now we can offer someone who offers a background from the arts. This diverse background, coupled with the dynamic leadership of the director and deputy director, will only strengthen and enhance the CNL Services Department engagement with the community. Thank you for your time, Brad Prevail, Chairperson of the Culture and Leisure Services Board. And yes, thank you. It is such an important board, and I would just encourage you, those efficiency things, as you brought up, are things that this council is looking at and working on, but I know you can bring an outside-the-box perspective and think about ways, simple things that we can do. I don't know about slot machines in the City Hall walkway, but...
I was thinking of a theater review.
What's that?
A theater review. We could all get you all doing something, show for the community.
Love it.
We already have a volunteer.
Thank you. Any other questions at this time for Ms. Downing? We'll formally end the agenda. It's scheduled to formally appoint and adopt, but we appreciate you and your husband, Mr. Downing. Thank you for being here. And that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you. So that concludes presentations and interviews here. At this time, we have public participation, and if it is your intention to speak, we do ask that you fill out a public comment card there at the front. We have 3 minutes. We have a light system here. When it goes green, you have 3 minutes. When it goes yellow, there's about 30 seconds left. And then when it goes red and beeps, we do ask that you please wrap up. I've got 2 cards. One of them is related to agenda item number 9. I just want to clarify, Mr. Maskley, are you here? Do you want to wait till we get to that item? You can speak at this time if you want to do it. Okay, yeah, I think that's a public, is that a public hearing item?
No, sir, Mayor, but it would be appropriate for him to speak during that item.
Thank you, City Attorney. I think that answers that for us. And so that leaves 1 card, Mr. Joe Abreu, resident property owner. Joe, if you could come forward, say your name and your address, we'd appreciate it.
Good evening. Joe Abreu, 225 Long Point Road, Cape Canaveral. On my card, I put for public records. For this year, public records are not found for the agenda or the agenda packet where they have normally been found. I don't know how this is working, but if somebody wants to go back and look at what happened in January, you can't do it. Not the way that it used to be done. Now, I know that they have started emailing if you want them, but I think it should be on the record so people can go back and look and see what was said and what was done. Much like the minutes. You really need the same thing. Now, I don't know why it's not being done, but I really feel like it should be done. The other item I put on there was zoning. 3-4 years ago, we changed the requirement of mailing people within a 500-foot radius of a property that was requesting rezoning. And they did that because we were rezoning the whole city, trying to make it uniform. And we were trying to save money by not making people or making the city mail that out to pretty much everybody in the city. I think this should go back to the way it was. If I would have to do a record search, which I don't think I could do from what I need, but my property was zoned R3 when I bought it, and somehow along the line it got changed to R1 in 2009. I think that's what Dave Dickey told me. And I don't ever remember receiving a letter or a certified mail telling me that they were going to do that. I'm not saying that they didn't, but I can't find the record for that. So just another thing to bring that back to the way it was, I think would behoove the city and the residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Abreu. On the, I do want to just comment, that's the end, on the public records, I think this, we're moving from an old system to the cloud version. Is there any update on that? I think it's still under construction, but it is our intent to restore and even enhance and improve public
Yes.
records.
Yes, that is correct. And I do have our web person. They are putting, there is a link to get to the agenda right now. That, like, where you would go normally to get into Laserfish, there should be a link there to at least get to the agenda.
Okay.
Yeah, just there's something there, but it will have all of it restored shortly.
Thank you. Yes, and I do recall as far as the zoning comment, there was the requirements to send certified mail, and then we reduced those due to the quantity of mailings. But with that behind us, I think that's something we could look into as well. Thank you again. Okay. Did I miss anyone who intended to speak? If so, please come forward. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close public participation. Which brings us to item number 7, Managers Matters. This is information regarding various projects and issues. And Mr. Touchberry, our city manager.
Thank you, Mayor. So first item under Managers Matters is our facilities update with our Nancy Hansen Recreation Complex. As the council knows, we're looking at doing some renovations there. The most current update is our engineers we've met with them to review the preliminary draft design work, and we sent back our comments to them, and we're looking forward to receiving the revised floor plans as a result of those comments. So we'll continue to keep council updated on that project. The Sandpiper Park playground equipment, the installation has begun out there. Although our contractor did discover an error that was made when they took their original measurements of some things out there. So they're making some minor adjustments with the playground design team, and they should have their updated plans back to our staff soon so we can move forward with that installation. This is a top priority for this group to get this work done, and our staff is staying on top of it. And then finally, at Manatee Sanctuary Park, we're working with our IM team to determine a start date for when we're going to install some lighting out there. And this will be a multi-department effort to get that lighting done. So we'll keep this council updated on that moving forward. City personnel update. We did make a job offer for the plant operator C position, and we can bring that person forward if they can make it to the next meeting and introduce them, but we have filled that position. We have a part-time administrative assistant position. We just made a job offer to someone. They've accepted, so pending the conditions of that offer, we should have another person on our roster to introduce to council next month. And we are currently looking to fill a records management specialist position. That position became vacant last week, and we look to be advertising that soon. So that's our personnel update. We've added grants update to Managers Matters. If the council recalls, last meeting, the staff was basically delegated to pursue any and all grants possible, and appropriations, of course. We always do that, but so we've added grants update as a permanent item under Managers Matters, and we'll keep council apprised of those things that we're looking at doing. So the update for this month is that we have submitted what is known as, quote, grant seeker paperwork to the Office of Representative Herodopoulos. And thank you, Councilor Mayor Pro Tem Jackson, for helping make that connection. We met with him and his staff, and the grant seeker paperwork that we submitted has to do with the Thurm Boulevard project and the Fillmore Avenue construction project, seeking more funds for both of those. And as we notified council before, we've, as a city, have joined the National League of Cities, and the membership applies to everyone who is an employee with the city as well as council members. And so as members of the National League of City, we have access to Lexipol grant services. And we have a 30-minute conference call planned for later this week with our grant advisor through Lexipol. And we're going to talk about what our needs are and what our issues and what we can potentially achieve through the National League of Cities grant services through Lexipol. So we're looking forward to that meeting, and we'll see what more we can bring back to the council on that. And then the last item is the employee handbook. Last meeting, we talked about our progress with that. So where we are now is we've gotten that handbook back in the hands of the vendor who was contracted to help write it to begin with. We've made our revisions and changes, and we're looking at their review of those revisions and changes. And once we get a final version in hand, we will get it to the council. Our goal is to get it to you before the next council meeting. And as stated previously, we want to get it into your hands as soon as possible so you can spend time to review it. And then when the council's ready, talk about when we can put it on the agenda for final review and hopefully adoption by this council. And that concludes Manager's Matters, unless there's any questions.
Mr. Mayor, I do have a question. Did we not already hire a records management person?
We did, and that position became vacant last week. So
Okay.
didn't work out for that individual. We wish them well, and we're going to be re-advertising.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I want to add to that, so it's 3 open positions right now?
No, we actually just have the one right now. Those other 2 have been filled pending, the processing to get them on board.
Thank you. So any other questions for our city manager? Thank you.
Thank you, council.
Okay, so at this time, we are on the consent agenda. We've got 2 items on the consent agenda. The 8.1 is the approval of the minutes, and 8.2 is resolution number 2604. I just want to make a note, it was provided as supplemental by our city clerk's office, that the approval of the minutes, we are not approving tonight. It's postponed until April meeting, regular meeting?
Yes, April
next
21st.
month.
Yes.
Okay, so I think city attorney on that, we would just approve. Everything but that. Which is, thank you, which is one item, 8.2, so. 8.2 and 8.3. Oh, I missed one. Well, I guess I got cut off. It's 8.3. No? Okay, I left one out. Thank you, Councilmember Willis. And 8.3, which is a resolution number 2604, to formally appoint a Cultural and Leisure Services Board member, Ms. Joyce Downing, who we just interviewed. So that would leave item 8.2 and 8.3.
It's on that one.
It's just 8.2.
Yeah.
Oh, I think you might have
This is for you.
Okay.
But it's on the screen.
Okay. So just really, it's 8.2
Yes.
okay, thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda, item 8.2, moving 8.1 to the April meeting.
I'll second.
Got a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Jackson, second by Councilmember Willis on the consent agenda. Any further discussion? City Clerk, please call the roll.
All right. Mayor Pro Tem Jackson,
4.
Councilmember King,
4.
Mayor Morrison,
4.
Councilmember Shoryak,
4.
Councilmember Willis.
4.
Those items pass 5-0. Thank you. Brings us to item number 9, our items for action. Tonight we have 4 items for action. 9.1 is the first one, which is the city manager's performance evaluation. Tonight we are looking for a motion to consider the approval of the city manager's performance evaluation and discuss or determine how to proceed with the provisions of Section 2, salary and future adjustments of the July 29, 2025 employment agreement between the City of Cape Canaveral and City Manager Mr. Keith Touchberry. This time, if we don't have any initial questions, I think our city attorney Is there anything that you need to summarize or go over here, as it relates to this item?
With respect to the evaluation, this is the initial evaluation pursuant to the city manager's contract. So, I mean, the council's has received those evaluations. If you wish, you could discuss them amongst yourselves if you wish. In addition, just to remind the council that there is a provision in there that after the initial evaluation, the council can provide an increase in salary up to $10,000 based on the initial evaluation. So that would be an action item. Receipt of each other's evaluation is just for your consideration. And then the HR director there she is in the audience.
Okay, thank you. There's really two items to approve the performance evaluation and take action on the provisions in Section 2 on any adjustments to the wage. Okay. Hi, Natalie. Good evening. I hear you okay.
You want me to go over everything that was just said? That's kind of what I was going to address, was the provisions that were... No, it's fine. I mean, obviously the evaluation, the scores, even with the new scores entered, it's 4.6 out of 5 overall. So across the board, the city manager received really good feedback, even from the public, the council, and staff. So shows that he's the right person for the job, and staff is really happy. And again, the recommendations were for obviously retention, continued employment up to the 10,000, retro back to August 4th, or not August 4th, February 4th. And then those are the action items for tonight. And if you want to have any questions about what was in the review packet that I compiled, I'm happy to go over those as well.
Thank you. Council, any questions at this time or comments?
I just have one quick comment for Natalie and her department. I really love the format that you presented all the data in. It's very well done.
Thanks. Well, I put on there, it was help of Claude AI, help compile it, but I mean, it was all checked and verified.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Great job.
Thank you.
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem.
This comment is not as much towards our performance of our city manager, but as far as the process, which this was the first year that we had a 360-degree evaluation, which was our city managers is the one that decided to do that. And that's where he was able to get information out to our citizens and residents here in the city. And they literally were able to give feedback, provide feedback. And when I looked at some of the responses, I wasn't sure that some people really understood that he was the one that chose to allow the citizens to evaluate him as well as council and staff. And I think that is just really a great situation, because those are our stakeholders, and it's important to know that he's performing to the residents' satisfaction. And that, as I looked at some of the comments, there were some comments where people didn't seem to understand. Correct. And there were definitely questions that I hadn't experienced yet or had not observed. So that's normal when you're doing a 6-month evaluation. And there are things that were asked that only staff would know, and there are things that are asked that council would know. So as we move forward, just wanted to say this so the public would be aware that this was a new process, giving our city the ability to give feedback as well. And I wanted to thank you, City Manager, for offering that, as well as council looking at the evaluation and staff, because I think it gives a more well-rounded view.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I do have a question, Mr. Mayor.
Yes,
Okay.
please.
How were the members of the public selected? Were they selected, or was this just an open
It was
invitation?
open. It was sent out in the weekly update, I believe, through Amy Moody had sent that out and compiled it for us.
Okay.
So-
Social media, there's a QR
So-
code generated.
There
It
was a-
was
okay, so
broadcast
QR
in public
code.
meetings.
And that's why we had the identifiers, like, we wanted to make sure they were actual residents within the zip code. So if they had put in a zip code outside of Cape Canaveral, it eliminated responses except for the librarian.
The number of people that responded, I was surprised that there weren't more. Did you have any anticipation of what percentage would return?
No, we didn't. I mean, again, this was the first time we had ever done this process, and it was kind of to promote the transparency and allow everyone to have a voice. So I know staff really appreciated being offered the opportunity.
I expect when word gets around that they were asked, it'll be more popular next time.
Yeah, maybe. That's why I compiled the raw data also, so that you would see that people were like, why would we even be asked this? It's like,
And that's really
giving you the
why,
opportunity.
that's
Yeah.
really why I wanted to mention
Right.
this, because it's something that's new, and I think some of our citizens utilized it to give their feedback on the direction
Correct.
of things that council has done and, goals that we've set. And really, it's to evaluate the performance.
Correct.
But it's new.
It
So
is.
with it having been new, I think, like Councilmember King said, we'll probably have it
More participation next time.
and a little more understanding maybe of what the expectation
Right.
was.
So, and just to put it out there, the next one goes out in 4 months. Because you're already at 7, and then your contract says 30 days prior to your annual, so.
I'll have to
if-
review my
If we
contract.
want to,
I thought it was a year from now.
well, it says annually, on your annual, and
Got it.
then annual. So
Got it.
if we want to change any of the process.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Any other comments at this time? I think we're taking these in two parts. We're just accepting the performance evaluation. Councilmember Shoryak? Thank you so much
Of
for
course. Yep.
doing it. I know
Absolutely.
I scored very low on my response time with this, evaluating myself, but going through it, this was a different process that I appreciated, putting yourself out there in a 360 evaluation, some vulnerability, of course. Folks are going to chime in, but it's all valuable. And I think it is, the format and the reporting is excellent, to echo Councilmember Willis. And then just it was a different evaluation and not observed, being that it's 6 months in, that's especially getting the budget and stuff. But I think that average score that you shared, it was at 4.6 with the.
With the additional scoring, yeah, I
Okay.
did. I have that. I brought that with me. I didn't have time to add it to the packet, but it's 4.6 overall in all the categories.
Am I exceeding expectations, and I would say is my short comment, and just stabilizing the organization, and with that, that was the hope, and we're there, and so power you to keep on keeping on, and thank you again. So if there's not any other comments or questions, we can go ahead.
I just want to say that
Yes.
this is very refreshing to have a city manager that is very attuned to our problems, the solutions, and bringing forward stability, as you've just said. So we're glad you're here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just need a motion to accept the performance evaluation.
I'll make that motion.
To approve
accept, to accept and approve the performance evaluation of our city manager.
Thank you.
I'll second.
I think Councilmember Shoryak
Okay.
edged in there. They got a motion by Councilmember King, a second by Councilmember Shoryak. Any further discussion? City Clerk, please call the roll.
Mayor Pro Tem Jackson,
4.
Councilmember King,
4.
Mayor Morrison,
4.
Councilmember Shoryak,
4.
Councilmember Willis.
4.
Valuation was accepted and approved 5-0. Thank you again to our Human Resources Department Director Natalie and obviously our city manager and all who were a part of this. As our city attorney advised, as it relates to item, kind of the second part of this was referencing section 2 of his agreement, salary and future adjustments. There's some data that was provided as well as supplementary. I think we've had a chance to review that. So if this council chooses, we can take action here. Is that correct, City Attorney? Okay, thank you.
This is always the fun part. Because we have the data comparing us to other cities that were so different.
Do you have the data? Yeah. I had provided, I don't know, in the document, the live link that we had created, that's out there now. I don't know if it was at the bottom, like, it's a Google sheet where every municipality across the state now chimes in and updates it in real time.
Oh, okay.
So that is there with all of the information that you had requested last year with budgeting and number of full-times, coastal versus non.
I got a question on this statement, same as EEs, the EE in that table I'm looking at on page 13. What does EE mean?
Employee? I don't know which, we're still scrolling.
It's
Same as employees.
That means, that was page 13, but I don't see that title.
It's at the top. It says, under annual leave hours, it says same as employees. It's EEs, employees.
Okay.
That's what that.
Got it. I guess, so like, for example, annual leave, I see. So it's okay. Thank you. City Attorney, I got another question on the, while we're just in, the section about establishing performance. Does that happen at the 1 year part? It'd be helpful if I actually got to it. Where was that? Where was that? It talks about we'll work together.
In his contract?
Yes.
Do you need it? I have a copy.
I have the contract. I'm trying to find the section that goes over establishing performance metrics. Oh, it's section 5?
If that's what you're looking for.
I think. Well, unless I overlooked it.
about what it'll entail?
It talked about the council around this time, I thought, would work on developing performance metrics.
The ones that were, this is where it says the ones that were in the actual leadership.
Keep scrolling.
No, I don't think that was.
I think the only parts of this contract that actually address.
Okay, well, maybe I'm. Just. I. I know it wouldn't be there. Automobile initial and annual evaluation 5. It's the section you shared.
It's section 5.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, you were on the first one now. You got it. So it's section B. So page 4 of 11, section 5B.
You're right, that's where, yeah.
Where it talks about the annual evaluation. The first thing I think we want to clarify is, being that this March is the 6th month, you're saying 4 months from now, because of his hire date, would make 1 year.
Because the review was due the month surrounding his 6 months, so now we're into his 7th month. So if we're doing it on his actual anniversary
hire.
of August 4th,
Yeah.
the contract here says to be sent out within 30 days prior to his annual anniversary.
Okay.
So,
It does use that language, annual anniversary. Okay.
correct. But it also says a little further down that it can
Oh, I
be
see.
written or verbal.
Okay, and then we got our code, or it talks about this too, right? I just want to make, and I think this works with the code. This is a little different for us. It's as we have our anniversary hire date, and then it's usually 12 months. We'll do it, and so we inserted this in the middle. I think our city manager might have been under the assumption that this would set, it would be 12 months from now, so March of 2027. We would.
Or February.
So
yeah, February.
technically, February is 6 months. I was hired in August, so I've had 6 months of full service. And then you're evaluating me now in the 7th month for the previous 6 months. So my interpretation was my annual would then occur February of next year, but apparently there's a conflicting provision in the contract, and perhaps the attorney can weigh in on the intent.
Okay. What do we think about that? I mean, if there is an issue, I guess, suppose we could mutually agree to maybe adjust and obviously listen to recommendations, but do we?
Well, I'm looking at the coastal city median salary, which is 160, all right? The average salary is 168, 147. So currently, we're at 160, correct? So maybe what we want to do is consider discussing the average salary of 168, 147 for the 6-month period, and then revisit it, of course, at the 1-year anniversary. And if we wanted to increase it at that time, we could do it. I'm just throwing that out there for discussion.
Okay, so I think the question would be the 1-year anniversary from his hire date, August 1st?
Whatever the contract says.
So I think we're trying to sort through that now.
Can you pull the contract back up? Because I think we need to be clear on that. So I read it that it's 1 year from the, after the initial evaluation. The contract says, following the initial evaluation, the city manager shall be subject to annual performance evaluations. And then when you look at the further down in the middle of that paragraph, it talks about that the city council may review performance of the city manager within 30 days prior to his annual anniversary date for each year following the initial evaluation. Maybe it's a little clumsy, the language, but it's an anniversary date following the initial evaluation. it's, maybe the use of the word anniversary may be throwing people off, but I think that's the way we had structured it. Council wanted to have that initial evaluation and then each year thereafter.
On that 6-month anniversary date,
After the initial evaluation?
right?
Which is this.
Which is this.
Right.
Every year after,
Okay, from this date.
from this initial evaluation
Okay.
date.
Okay.
So this time, next year.
Next year, yeah.
Which is consistent, I think, I just want to make sure we're doing what we want to do, and city manager,
Yeah.
and if we agree and there's no issues or any professional recommendations.
No, that's fine. I just wanted to so his 1 year would be February. So that means it would go out 1 month before next February? Or I mean, next August? So in July? How the initial language was about sending it 2 weeks prior, 2 weeks after?
But does it take 2 months to get the evaluation process underway and buttoned up? How long does that take?
Well, the first paragraph above that, it was 2 weeks before, 2 weeks after, so we had to do the 1 month.
Mhm.
So that's why I'm just looking for
Okay.
clarification on how we're going to do it moving forward.
I'm looking for
But no, it
clarification,
doesn't have
too.
to take that long, but
Yeah.
it also has to fall on the agenda schedule, or the council meeting schedule,
Right.
so.
Right.
So we're basically treating this as a probationary evaluation. And so going forward, it will be annual from this date.
This date. Yes.
So the next evaluation would be sent out in January.
Or
Well,
December.
No, January.
How far in advance of?
that's what that's what we need to establish, because,
December, January.
2 weeks prior and 2 weeks after the date of the anniversary. If what Natalie is explaining, I asked her, how long does this evaluation process take? And she said 2 weeks prior to the 6-month anniversary,
that was in the paragraph A
right?
for the initial one.
And then 2 weeks following to get all the input in and have it collated and made into a report. So you're giving yourself a month that surrounds, that brackets the anniversary date, if I'm understanding this. Sorry, I shouldn't need to
No.
put this on.
The anniversary date of this meeting.
Of this meeting, yes, yes. Mhm.
Well, so the original recommendation also was to retro it back to a 6-month, so, which would be February 6th, or 4th, February 4th, his 6-month anniversary,
Mhm.
if there was going to be an increase.
Okay, so we just need to make that decision, don't we?
Yes, and that means this decision is for the annual compensation, any annual compensation. Okay.
Okay, this is the section that I was referring to that's slightly separate. I think we've gotten some clarity and alignment around that, what this evaluation represents, and the next one. The section 5B says, following the initial evaluation, this is page 4 of 11 in his contract, the city manager shall be subject to annual performance evaluations conducted by the council. We've established that. Each year, the city council and the city manager shall jointly establish written goals and objectives which they determine necessary for the proper operation of the city and the attainment of council's policies, objectives, and shall be further established a general priority among those various goals and objectives. They shall generally be attainable within the limits specified within the annual operating capital budgets and appropriations provided by the city. The city may review those performance of the city manager within 30 days prior to the annual anniversary date.
Each year following.
So I think we've got this item for action to raise, but we wanted to also tie it, not necessarily tie it, but at that same time, we get on the same page. And so maybe right around budget time is a good time. Maybe we can try to set a goal on what we want to establish as some goals. And my thought just on compensation and pay is, as we recognized earlier, when we compare to other cities, and to me, and I hope this doesn't come off the wrong way, you know, there's no more important investment, and the wrong investment in personnel can cost you far more than what you would save, and the right investment could save you far more than you would pay. And so I do not really have those, and we've asked for that data, but I guess as I've evolved here and worked within the organization, I've seen how funds can go, and it's not necessarily mismanagement, but somebody who is hitting those goals, whatever this council establishes. I think the investment in our city manager will be justified through that performance. You know, if you can competitively bid and save money on contracts and agreements and work hard, they might save $500,000 a year. And so as we consider this, that's my statement, is when we get into those objectives, to me, you got city managers making $300,000, $400,000, but they're saving $3 to $4 million. And you've got some that are getting paid half that, and they're costing $3 to $4 million. I don't have the data to prove that, but I think, know and just say that that's just an example. So with the right investment here, I would just say that whatever we consider and do, that we also think about those goals and objectives that need to be reasonable, and that's a conversation with our city manager if this council chooses. And with that, Councilmember King, I think you came out and brought point to what the average was. I think that was 168,000. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
Are we reading that right?
168, 147.
Natalie?
Correct, but also the employment agreement authorizes up to the 10,000 for
Right.
satisfactory or better performance, which was
Which he hit
achieved.
that mark,
Right.
yes. Mhm.
So I provided the county information, which was requested in the past, but also that one bullet point is what's up for consideration.
But we don't necessarily have to use that as a measuring tool.
The county information?
Right.
Correct.
It was helpful, though, thank you.
You're welcome.
And just to over communicate, the next evaluation will be in February.
The year from the initial evaluation.
Okay.
Whether that's today,
So the initial
Or-
evaluation went out,
a month ago.
well, 2 weeks prior to his 6-month.
It seems to me that it would be discussed in the next March meeting, but the evaluations would go out in advance of that. I mean, if we interpret it, we don't want to keep backing up a month or going back in the calendar a month or coming up a month. You know, if you want to set this as the annual meeting for the evaluation, but we'll get the instruments out to you in advance of the meeting like we did for this one.
Thank you, and that's,
Yeah, it
It-
went out the end of January, and then they were due back
Well, just set the
mid-February.
point, just set when the council wants to receive the evaluations, set that date, and then back up from there. So the council wants the next evaluation to be presented to the governing body in February or March of 2027, you would back up from there to get the evaluations out to council. And of course, there's that mayor mentioned the provision about coming up with performance objectives. You'd have to work on those in the coming meeting or so. At least pin the date that you want the next evaluation to be presented to the council, and then back up from there would be my recommendation.
okay, so I think just as far as timing goes, we've got this option up to, which is defined in the agreement. We've tried to figure out when our next evaluation would happen, but there is going to be this time where we set, as Section 5B states, these goals. And so if we came forward with we can come, I think that doing that, usually we do strategic planning now. I don't think we're doing that. We'll have our capital improvements. But in the next 90 days, I think it would be prudent that we establish those goals, especially as we're looking at the budget. And perhaps we look at going with half today, so it'd be up to 10,000. So if we did 5,000 today, as set those goals and objectives, and then at that same time at the end, once we've agreed upon some goals and objectives, with that in front of us, we could consider the remaining half, which would be, my question is that's not the evaluation. I think at any point we could stop and provide a raise. Is that correct, our city attorney?
Correct.
And that we'll have the budget in front of us. We'll, I think, have a better sense. We'll observed. And so if we're April, May, June, right, there's 90 days, and that's really when the budget kicks off. But if we had goals by started the conversation in April meeting, and we could get them approved by May, what I'm saying is or May and June, say, if it takes a couple. Today we could take action on a raise and then just basically break up into two parts. And that would give us another 90 days as well to establish those goals. If I'm just throwing an idea out.
Which goals are you referring to, Mr. Mayor?
The Section 5B, it says each year the City Council shall jointly establish written goals and objectives which they determine necessary for the proper operation of the city. And so we have not done that yet, but it does say following the initial evaluation. So we had to have this initial evaluation, which we just approved today. And so I'm saying in the next 90 days, we need to set some goals. And then when we approve those goals, we could consider this $10,000. We could break it. We would have whatever we approved today, we've agreed to potentially break.
Does it need to be split?
It's whatever this
For
council.
budgeting purposes, or is that just
It's just it's just an idea.
Oh, okay. Yeah. We get a lot of them floating around.
Oh, yeah. It's an idea to kind of afford a little bit more time, and the way I read it I don't see any issues with that.
Well, and if we split that, the second portion of it would be retroactive anyway, correct?
I think this council
First
can do
portion.
whatever we believe is fair and reasonable, as long as it doesn't.
So in other words, the two portions, 5,000 and 5,000, would hit during this budget year, right?
The first would be retroed back to February 4th.
Right. And, okay, that's still within this budget year, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like added to his base salary, so it
Right,
would
right,
be a lump
right.
sum.
So I'm just trying to rationalize why, if we were going to give him 5,000 and 5,000, why don't we just give him 10,000 and be done with it? Set the goals, and then and he can work towards those goals for his next evaluation.
We can.
That would be my suggestion. Unless it impinges on the budget, I think if we have it, let's do it, and let's set the goals for next year, for the next evaluation period, a year hence.
We absolutely can.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just bringing
Yeah. Well,
a different.
looking at it from
Idea?
different I understand, yeah, considering the different
So-
angles of it.
No matter what amount we do today, we are going to need to I think, get those goals and objectives, and I think that's going to be an important part of that. So,
And honestly, I think that needs to be a separate meeting where we meet as a council. I mean, I know, and I'm sure our city manager can tell you this, because I set my own goals and objectives for him as a council person, and I let him know, this is my expectations, because how can he meet them without knowing them? So I think it would be very good for all of us to agree versus, at least I did it, but maybe, one-on-one is not a great way to do that. That would always ensure that he would be able to meet those objectives for the entire council. So, just my thoughts.
that's great.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Well, whatever we vote on, we'll have to vote on the same groundwork, on the same platform. Whatever goals and objectives we set, it has to be as a group. And that's the only way we can evaluate him going forward. To your point about the 90 days, that's what we have to do now. But I think next year we need to start that goals and objective process earlier in the year rather than later. I think the goals and objectives going forward, we should be working towards in January, February, March, so that all of it coincides and is delivered at the same time.
Yeah, I think that whatever we set later than usual, we just might pick that up 9 months later and revise them and get in that first quarter of 27. Great comments.
I'd like to say something else, too.
Oh, please.
As our city manager, and taking personalities out of it, the position, a city manager is a leader of his organization, his or her organization. And as a city manager leads, he sets the goals for his staff, his team. And this is no different. In a sense, it's no different. What we're doing is we're saying these are our expectations of you. If you have a problem, come to us, and we are going to determine your worth, financial worth, if you hit those goals, or if you come close to it. Put forth best effort. I mean, that's what the city manager would expect of his staff, his team, and I think we should do the same.
Yeah, I think whatever we decide today, we will all go in knowing what was approved by a majority of the council, and those goals and objectives will be.
Yep.
I agree.
Yep.
Well, city attorney, are we missing anything, or I think we just need to consider taking action? And do we need to schedule? Well, I'll take it one thing at a time. Just following the initial evaluation. So I think we can start the conversation. I don't want to put burden on goals and objectives at the next meeting, I think.
Well, I think we should do a workshop on that.
Separate, okay, as you get, okay. So let's get this action item put behind us, and then try to establish, maybe at the next meeting, we meet earlier in that day for a workshop, that same day? And standalone, okay. Well, what do we want to do?
Present a motion for a suggestion of how much the increase in his salary should be,
I think
based on the evaluation?
I think it's good to discuss, try to get a consensus on a number and then make a motion.
All right.
Instead of coming out with a motion and then.
Well, I'll throw it out there. I'm recommending that we pay him the $10,000 to increase his salary at that level, and move on from there.
Okay, so what, do we have any comments on the $10,000 raise?
I'm all for it, but I think it fits with his evaluation, the levels, and with his our contractual obligations as well.
Councilmember Shoryak?
I concur with Councilmember Willis.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem, what do you think?
Well, I mean, I'm the one that comes from a strange background, so in my old world, you would never give the full amount. But I do believe that our city manager has exceeded our expectations. I know that for how he's dealt with me and the things that I have worked on, he has gone above and beyond. I think that we need to, I know everyone's already said what their thoughts were on the 10,000. I think when we compare it to the other barrier island communities, that it's fair. It also, when you go in with such a high amount in a raise, it makes the next year harder, because every year you're adding to that as we're looking at what are we doing with our budget. So, but I think that the performance was there.
Well, and the other aspect to that, if I may, is when we set the goals, maybe we attach a dollar figure to it, percentage-wise. If, for example, if, I don't know, I'm just going to throw this out there, and I think this was brought up earlier, if there's a contract that has to be let, and we're looking at, getting the most bang for the buck, all right? Well, that has to count for a goal as well, using the city's monies and funds properly, so that we don't get into the same problems we've had in the past. Let me just put it that way, that we have somebody who is sensible and is looking at the figures and looking for ways to, well, maybe we can do a little bit of negotiating here and there and bring that cost down a little bit. Those kind of goals, I would be looking for that, in as much as having his staff be very productive, giving us, again, bang for the buck.
Yep.
So I think there are tangible goals that we can set, and we can probably put a little dollar figure or a percentage figure with that if we want to when we're assessing his evaluation next year.
Yeah, I think there's no doubt that this council will have some financial goals,
Yeah,
right? I mean,
yeah.
we set broad goals, and
Yeah.
none of them are financial, but I think
Right.
the fact that, we pushed, last year, couple of years with taxes and the challenges and the things, inflation, that in itself, I agree, I think is going to be something that he will see that we value, and being
Right.
able to
And-
change any negative trends is a positive.
And one other thought, and then I'll stop. We're looking at grants. We're looking at getting grants, okay? I think our city manager ought to be very, very cogent of that and encouraging his staff to go after those grants. And I know we've discussed this, and I think he's on board with that. But I think that that's a goal as well. How many grants can we get out there, and how can our staff, his staff, achieve those grants to bring in the income that we need to have?
Well, and I've been very intimate with that little process that's going on with the grants, and working with our city manager, and he has jumped on board and taken the reins, and that sort of thing with me, I kind of kicked the door open. So I believe that, you pay for someone when they're valuable, and I see the value in our city manager.
Well, with that, I support everything I've heard. We just need a motion.
I'll make a motion that we increase our city manager based on his performance evaluation, $10,000.
Got a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Jackson, a second by Councilmember Willis. Is there any further discussion? City Attorney and/or HR Director, do we have any blind spots? We're good?
Retroactive?
Okay.
Oh, yeah,
I think that's
retroactive.
implied. Does that need to be stated? I think that's what the contract says.
The contract's not very clear on,
The agenda says that that's what's being presented.
did you put retro? I didn't put retro.
Any opposed to the
Right.
retroactive in that motion? Was that not the intent of the motion? That was the intent? Is that okay? Good. City Clerk, please call the roll.
Mayor Pro Tem Jackson,
Four.
Councilmember King,
4.
Mayor Morrison,
4.
Councilmember Shoryak,
4.
and Councilmember Willis.
4.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you all very much, and City Manager, thank you for all you do and an impressive evaluation.
Thank you. If I may comment?
Please.
Thank you. I appreciate that. First of all, I want to thank the council for your confidence in me and the conversations that we have on a regular basis. You all do already share your goals and objectives on an individual basis, and I do everything I can to honor those and work toward those and keep, constant communication lines open with you. And I look forward to the next discussion. I've already wrote a note that my next Managers Matters will probably have an item on there to discuss workshop date for goals and objectives for the city manager. And I look forward to what those goals and objectives are. I truly do, because we need to come together and working on, what it is that's going to move the city forward in the directions that this council wants to take the city forward in. And just a final note, I want to thank staff. I want to thank our HR director, Natalie Watkins, and her staff for the efforts that they went through to get this instrument designed and put out to the community. And of course, the time it took for, to assemble all that and get it here. And I finally want to thank all of the employees, especially those who filled out an evaluation. We had over 20 employees submit their comments, and I truly valued their comments. This is a transparent operation. I'm a transparent city manager. I want to hear the feedback. If we can do better, let's do better. If I can evolve, I want to evolve, and I want everyone's input to do that. So thank you all for the opportunity to go through this process, and I look forward to the coming months.
Thank you. Great words. We look forward as well. So we accept the evaluation. We took action on that item. It got a note to schedule this workshop. I think we'll work that in, which brings us to, there's 3 more items for action here, 9.2, 3, and 4. We do have a public comment card on 9.3. But I would appreciate a quick 5-minute break, recess if we can, and then try to get back. And perhaps it makes sense that we consider moving for Mr. Maskey, if that's not going to think about it on our break, if we wanted to move 9.3 up.
Let's move it up, Mr. Maskey.
So, Mr. Maskey, appreciate your patience. We're going to take a 5-minute break, and then we're going to reconvene. Thank you. All right, we'll get started here in about 10 seconds. All right. All right, I call the meeting back to order. Thank you for your patience. Recess. We just finished item 9.1. Council, I think it'd be best if we could have a motion to move 9.3 to the next item.
I'll make a motion to move 9.3 up to replace 9.2.
And I'll second that motion.
Got a motion by Councilmember Willis and a second by Councilmember King. Any further discussion? None. City Clerk, call the roll.
Mayor Pro Tem Jackson,
4.
Councilmember King,
4.
Mayor Morrison,
4.
Councilmember Shoryak,
4.
and Councilmember Willis.
4.
Motion to move 9.3 up and to replace 9.2 passes 5-0, which is the Fillmore Avenue reconstruction. This is a motion to consider awarding invitation to bid 2026-01 to the most responsive and responsible bidder, approving a proposal from Gibbs and Register, Inc. in the amount of $4,532,737 for reconstruction of Fillmore Avenue, and authorizing the city manager to execute the construction agreement for the same. We do have a public comment card on this. I want to just confirm with our city attorney. Do we want to provide an overview, or should we go to public comment first?
I think staff should probably just give you an overview of the item and then take public comment.
Thank you, city attorney. City manager?
No, I'll defer to Tim Carlisle, Capital Improvements Director, to take it from here.
Great, thank you. Tim?
Hey, good evening, council members, Pro Tem and Mayor. On December 18th, we went out to bid for the Fillmore Avenue Streetscape project after a lot of changes to the design and taking out the unnecessary items. We went out. We received bids, 4 bids, on February the 12th, 2026, and read them aloud at 2:05 p.m. There were 4 bidders that had submitted: Cathcart Construction Company, Sandpick Inc., Massey General Contractor, and Gibbs and Register Inc. We did receive a 5th bid, but it was a company called Nature's Keeper, which is a subcontractor for the landscaping and irrigation, so we could not count that as a formal bid since it was not complete with the bid package. The evaluation process, staff reviewed all bids received. The evaluation included anything from price, contractor qualifications, relevant project experience, and ability to successfully complete the specific project. Bid requirement clarifications were anywhere from the bid document state award is based on, which is lowest responsive and responsible bidder. This means not just the lowest price, but it must also be qualified and best suited for the project. The city reserves the right to act in the best interest of the city. Unique project challenges with this project of Fillmore Avenue is it's a residential roadway. So the key challenges is the maintenance of traffic, which is also known as MOT, ensuring continuous access to homes during the construction, which creates a higher complexity than standard roadway projects. Experience comparison, staff and the consultant reviewed similar project experience. Gibbs and Register was working and has finished a residential roadway similar to this project on Delaney Avenue in Orlando, actively managing residential access and maintenance of traffic at the same time, and the experience is directly comparable and current. Massey has a very strong overall experience. Much of their work appears to be FDOT type projects in a higher traffic roadway with different traffic control conditions. And the determination, Gibbs and Register demonstrated more relevant experience for this sort of project, particularly regarding residential maintenance of traffic. The final decision, as you could see, though, that the city and the city engineer recommends is Gibbs and Register. Some of the things that we took into consideration were documents, section 303 of the invitation to bidders bid package, which asks each bidder to refer projects that are in likeness for this particular project. We went over each one of them very strategically. We called references. We dug deep on this one because there were two bids that were very close together, I believe in about a $27,000, $28,000 difference. Again, a lot of the ones that we saw with Massey were on State Road 528, State Road 5, State Road 600, a lot of higher up, faster paced roadways, whereas Gibbs and Register had that one road that I was looking for that would pop, that I would know, okay, they've done this before, they've seen this, they've been there, they've learned lessons learned. So that's where us and the engineer came up to our conclusion of picking Gibbs and Register for this project.
Thank you, our Capital Projects Director, Tim Carlisle. That's an overview and very helpful. City Manager, is there any other personnel or comments needed from our city staff?
Nothing further, Mayor.
City Attorney, at this time, do you recommend going to the public comment? Okay. Thank you. Mr. Leo Maskey, I have your card here. Thank you for your patience again. You have 3 minutes.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the council. Looks like you have a great city here, and I appreciate that.
One moment. I hate to interrupt you. I want to make sure your microphone's turned on and
Okay.
this clock. Just give us a second here.
Is it on?
It is on.
Okay.
And we were
All
good
right.
to go. Thank you. We just started.
All right. So my name is Leo Massey. I'm the president of Massey General Contractor. It's correct that we do a lot of FDOT work, but we also have done for the last 31 years a lot of residential work, city work, county work, water, sewer, drainage, paving, concrete, and a lot of other things in this area even. And if Mr. Tim here had requested any additional information, we would have provided it for him. We were the low bidder on this project. I have given you guys a handout which shows that we were low bidder on this project. I have given you a second handout that shows our FDOT rating. What they do is they grade their contractors. Currently, we have a 95% rating out of 100. So that's an A contractor that we are. And our capacity with the FDOT is $259 million. And this project is $4,500,000. So it's well below what we're qualified to do. We've done hundreds, if not thousands of projects in residential neighborhoods. All Mr. Tim had to do was ask. We never got a phone call. I found out today at 2 o'clock that this project was not going to be awarded to us, which I was shocked about. This is not correct. It needs to be Massey General Contractor. I request as council to at least table this. We can have a meeting with the city manager and Mr. Tim if needed, or Mr. Tim, whomever it needs to be at the meeting, and get this thing worked out. Because we don't believe in that the city should squander money or wasteful spending. Those days are over. I 100% agree with Trump on that. There's no need for wasteful spending. And what you're doing here is wasteful spending for no need, because we were the low bidder, number one, which you must award to, and the responsive bidder as well, because we absolutely have all of the things that are out here we've done. So there's no need at all to not award us this project. We've been in business for 44 years. I've been working in Florida for 31 years, doing nothing but residential, highway work, county work. That's it. So we are more than qualified. We have 275 employees currently, more than what's needed for this project. We have ordered cut sheets or submittals for manholes that are long lead. We have also ordered a specialty box, pending award, to get the shop drawings, the engineering done on it. So we are ready to go on this project. All we need is the award from you guys so that we can begin a great partnership in working together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Massey. And we, just to confirm, there's 3 documents that was provided. I want to make sure the council received it by our city clerk's office. There's a table of figures and numbers for bid detail. There's an email printed out. And then there's also some more numbers.
Mr. Mayor, this one I requested. Is this,
Okay.
Tim, isn't this the one you added for me?
Yes.
Okay, so this was not provided by the vendor, just so you know.
No, that's helpful. Thank you. So the 2 documents that Mr. Massey referenced, we do have them. And this is good. Okay. Just take a moment to review, and at any point, if anyone has any questions or comments, please go.
I do.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor. I'm looking at these figures here, and Massey General Contractor came in $24,000 less than Gibbs and Register. This is not my field of expertise, but having just come from the audit and talking with auditors about, our cash, our budgeting, I'm wondering why, if and I'm going to direct this to you, Tim, what was the deciding factor, based on what Mr. Massey has just told us, what was the deciding factor that led you to go with the contractor Gibbs and Register, who estimated $24,000 more than Massey did?
All right, so as explained earlier, when we go through the process of going through the whole thing, we look at like projects that are like that. When we don't see those immediately, a red flag comes up on our side saying, okay, are they going to be able to do this? And nothing against Massey. Massey's probably an outstanding company. But what we receive in a bid package is, okay, well, what red flags are showing? And the main red flag that showed for me, and it might not be 100% true, is have they done a residential road that's fully residential? Are they going to be able to pull the right MOT? If I don't see a lot of those projects, the number one thing that goes on in my mind is, will there be a major change order? And change orders normally come in increases, not in decreases. So when I look at change orders, we're looking at thousands, hundreds of thousands, possibly sometimes, in certain projects. Now, I'm not going to say necessarily that this was going to happen, but in doing projects for as long as I have, I've seen a lot of change orders come across my desk. And those have to, of course, go to the city manager for approval. And some of those change orders I've seen in an amount of $5,000, $6,000. Other ones I've seen in $120,000, $150,000. So holistically, when looking at a whole project from beginning to finish, I have to look at all those key components of that project to make sure that we're not going to end up spending more than what was bidded originally. So that's where that comes from.
So you worked with Kimley Horn to, they were the ones who vetted these contract bids, proposals?
They reviewed and recommended, correct.
Okay, all right.
These are their plans, so
Right.
they would be best to know, you know what I'm saying, how.
Okay. Well, given what Mr. Massey has just brought up, are you somewhat inclined to say, okay, let's sit down and talk about this. Let's take a look at your residential projects that you've done. I mean, is it worth $24,000 to save to the city to sit down and have a talk with him? And
I have to first
move
make sure
forward?
it's legally applicable, because when going out to bid, there's a lot of legal standpoints throughout the whole. I mean, the bid package is 300-something pages long. So if our attorney says that that's okay to pull this off and to have a discussion off the table within this bid, then I'm okay with that. So I guess the question mainly is, and I just want to make sure I'm not overstepping any legal boundaries, are we able to pull this project back and discuss this further with Massey General Contractors?
It's a competitive bid process, so the issue, as I understand it, Tim, is relevant experience and on residential streetscape projects. I mean, to the extent that the city wanted to request additional information that Mr. Massey seems to be alluding to on similar residential streetscape projects, not just general paving projects, those happen all the time, but the streetscape projects. You know, I think if the city wants to give him an opportunity to present additional information, given the fact that he's the lowest bidder, or the company's the lowest bidder, I think under the circumstances, if council wants to see that information, you can retrieve it before the council makes a final decision.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question.
Absolutely.
Okay, so when you put out the RFP, were the vendors that were bidding aware that this was a residential street?
We had a mandatory pre-bid meeting where anybody who was interested in the project would need to show up in person.
Okay.
We go over the plans, and then we go do a site visit just to show them where this road is and what it consists of. And I like to get our contractors' eyes on the actual project so that they know that what they're dealing with.
Okay, so we did have prior notice that it was a residential street versus a highway project?
Correct.
Okay, for all vendors?
Correct.
Okay. That was my question. So we should have been receiving bids that reflected that.
Mayor, if I can interject, I don't know if, I'm sorry, were you done? Okay, I don't know if Tim was clear. In Florida, we honor the best value source selection process, and it's a procurement philosophy where you're going for the overall vendor's best overall value. The vendor is selected on the best overall value and not just based on the lowest price. So that is a standard that is followed by all governments when entering into the procurement process. I just want to make sure that was clear before the council takes any action.
Another question. When you, Tim, and you're going to have to educate me because this is all new to me.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Thank you. When you do put out a bid, all right, and you just said that you invite them to come and you want them to see. Were all of the bidders brought out to the site to see it?
Yes.
Okay, so Mr. Massey, you had somebody that came and saw the...
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, we had a representative here.
You did?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, ma'am.
All right. And were there any questions asked, Tim, at that time of the representative for Massey if they had done projects like this?
Whatever contractor asked any questions, we didn't really document anything. There were quite a few questions on underground utilities and things of those nature.
Okay.
The MOT was discussed a little bit. I'm not sure exactly, and I can't honestly say if that question had arisen or not. No.
Okay. All right. Mr. Massey, if you don't mind my asking you a question, when your representative came back from the site visit, did you get any feedback from your representative about the scope of the work, and was it something that you were very comfortable bidding on?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, we've done hundreds of jobs just like this. We currently are doing a job on, we just finished it on A1A in Beachside in New Smyrna Beach. And I think it was about $3 or $4 million also in residential neighborhood. We just were about 65% complete on a job for Seminole County for $42 million. And all the deep sewer that was put in on residential roads was complete and accepted. So we do this all the time. We don't just do highway work and paving and county roads and paving. We work in residential neighborhoods all the time. We have completed the largest jobs that New Smyrna has ever had on drainage and sewer and water, and very similar to this. and we got them done in half of the contract time. Yeah, and we want to give you that same service. That's why I came down personally, because I do care. I care very much about our work product. I care very much about who we work for. And, you know, and only care we want back is just pay the check. That's all we ask. You know, when we send the invoice, pay it. That's it. But we do care about what we do. We love what we do. We do it all the time. We work with residents. We just started another job for Volusia County in New Smyrna. Same exact thing as this, but bigger. I think that one's about $6 million. So we do it on a regular basis.
Okay,
So
so
if
you're
you-
well acquainted with the project?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And if Mr. Tim needs any references, I mean, we have a whole list of, you know, we could have maybe not pointed to the right ones. I mean, we literally have a scroll of projects that we've completed through the years.
Okay.
And a lot of them have been residential neighborhoods,
All right.
doing exactly what you have out here.
All right, thank you, Mr. Massey. Thank you.
Good questions. Yeah, I think it was actually, because we were doing the counting, you know, we've got the procedures. Our city manager talked about, you know, Section 217, the purchasing requirements under Division 2. And, you know, it does say lowest responsible bidder, but then it lists 10 items that are around some of the things I think we heard from our capital project director. Did the bid include I guess, when does the contract come into this process? Is that out front? Was the contract reviewed, or is that the next,
That's
what
the-
we're approving tonight potentially?
Yeah, so what I normally do is I bring it to you, to the council, to the mayor and the pro tem, and see what your guys' thoughts on it, and then you guys go ahead and vote. If approved, then I will send out an NOA, which is a notice of award. And then right after the notice of award comes the contract. After the contract's received back from the city, signed and then fully executed, then we'll send out an NTP, which is a notice to proceed. And that's when we'll have our pre-construction meeting and find a good timeline for the whole project.
Okay, so this construction agreement, attachment 3, you might have said it, and I apologize, that was a part of the bid package that went out from the city?
Correct.
Okay.
It was, correct.
And so I'm looking at Section 3, order of precedence. It talks about change orders there, which were some of your points. Okay, that answered my question, is change orders was known. And I think that's all I have at this time.
Council, one final note. There is a provision for an appeal process. Should the council agree to award the bid to the recommended company, then Mr. Massey has an appeal process. He has 5 days to appeal. I have 5 days to respond. And if my response does not satisfy him or any applicant under these circumstances, then the council will be able to review that at that time and then, you know, make the final decision.
Okay, so let me repeat that back. Basically, if from the date it's a decision made on this contract, if the clock starts with 5, I would assume business days.
Correct.
Yes.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Monday, so by next Tuesday.
Yes.
If my math's correct. There's an appeal that they have the right to do. And then from that date, city manager, yourself, can respond to that appeal. And if that is insufficient, what happens next?
Go ahead.
Yeah, that's just the city's standard bid protest. What's being presented to the council this evening is a proposed award of a construction contract for the Fillmore Streetscape project to the tune of $4.5 million plus. So the council is deciding who to award the contract to. Once the council makes the decision on the award, then the city's standard bid protest policy potentially kicks in. It's in the bid documents where some bidder who feels like they may have been aggrieved during the competitive bid process can file a bid protest post-award that goes to the city manager, as the manager indicated, for review, to review the decision that's made up here. Then they end the merits of the bid protest. And then the manager makes the decision, and then from there, if the protestant does not agree with the manager's decision, then the bid protest then gets elevated back up to the city council for consideration on the merits of the bid protest. Okay, it's not technically an appeal, it's more of a technical bid protest, standard, run-of-the-mill, and all of the awards that you do, whether you realize it or not, always subject to bid protest. But what's before the council tonight is who to award the contract to. You have a staff recommendation for Gibbs, and then Mr. Massey is coming to you, presenting his thoughts that since they're the low bidder, they should be awarded the contract, and he claims that they have project experience similar to what the Fillmore project would be. So you all ultimately make the decision on who to award the contract. I think the manager indicated, or Tim indicated, you know, it's the most responsible and lowest bidder, right? Doesn't mandate that it go to the bid be awarded to the lowest bidder. You know, responsible bidder could mean a variety of things. The mayor pointed out a few points. You know, like projects is one of the factors to consider under the city's code. It's because it's the particular use that's being required for the project that's relevant and experience. So ultimately, the council has to make this decision. Do you either go with Gibbs or do you go with Massey? Those are the only two companies that I see at this juncture that have any potential merit for award. Mayor.
That's helpful. Thank you, City Attorney. Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I have a question for Tim. Do we have any project experience with any of the four bidders?
Can you elaborate on that? What do you mean?
Have we contracted with any of these four prior?
I would have to go back in some of the records to see. I think we might have done, when Jeff was here, maybe Gibson Register, possibly. I don't remember seeing Sandpick throughout our files, or our Massey, or the other one, no.
Okay, thank you.
I have another question. So Tim, when Kimley Horn looked at this and their recommendation was the Gibbs?
Yes.
Okay. Any other, or was it simply Kimley Horn and you guys here internally, staff, that looked at this?
Yeah, that's normally, I mean, we only have, well, it was Rich, our city engineer, me, Laura, and then, of course, the engineer on record, which was Kimley Horn, correct?
Okay. And my other question, I have worked with, not bids for this type of work, but I've worked the RFP process plenty of times in my life. And so my question to you is, do you have to, on a normal basis, reach out to vendors to give them information, to you proactively doing that? Do you have to,
like contractors that are bidding on the project?
yes.
Normally not. I think that most contractors, you know, would fill it out as needed. The bid package is very detailed. It tells you exactly what we need. And I was just looking at section 303 that I had mentioned earlier. If you hang on one second. And it wasn't like projects, it stated similar projects within the state of Florida is section 303. So like, similar, same difference. That's what we go by, similar projects within the state of Florida. But I'm getting off topic here. Repeat the end of that question.
Well, what I was curious is if it is part of our process that we reach out to each one to make sure they understood the RFP. You know, because Mr. Massey said that you didn't call him.
No.
And in my experience in doing the RFPs, and it's not this type, so I don't want to assume, but they always contacted me. So I'm trying to determine, you know, what our process is, because that seems like it'd be tedious for a municipal government with limited employees.
Well, the way I see it is, if you reach out to one, you need to reach out to all of them. You know, and with these bid packages, like I said, they're very detailed. I normally won't reach out to a contractor unless there's a discrepancy, something that looks off. And I give them the opportunity to possibly fix it. Like when I see, let's say, $2 million on a line item, and I'm like, maybe they meant 200,000. Let me call them to see if maybe they made a typo. Things of that nature. All 4 of these bidders were highly qualified. They know the process. They filled out the bid package properly. Some just not trying to call out another issue, but one of the things that Massey has brought to the table tonight was that they do sewer lines and laterals. Nothing in his bid package said anything about sewer lines that I could see, so that was another red flag that raised up for me, was the sewer process, but he is capable of doing it.
And was it in your RFP?
It was in the bid tab sheet, yes.
To include the sewer lines?
Well, the bid tab sheet shows that he is capable of doing them. However, when I look at the Section 303 of similar projects in the state of Florida, I wanted to see a full 100% streetscape project that included sewer, sewer, stormwater, curbing, sidewalks, gutter, stormwater system, things of that nature that we are dealing with on this road, yes.
Okay.
But to answer your question and plainly, no, I normally don't reach out unless something raises like a huge flag with me.
But the RFP did specify those things?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's very
and
it's
it
very descriptive.
specified residential?
No, that's where the pre-bid meeting comes in.
Okay, so
that's where
that
they get
was-
to see hands-on what we're dealing with.
Okay, that was defined in the walkthrough.
Correct.
For the project?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Can I say just one quick thing?
Council, any issue with that? Mr.
Yes, go ahead.
I request that we table this until your next meeting, and then let us have time to talk and present all the references we have, because we absolutely have the references that he's looking for. Like I said, I understand. He calls one, calls all, sure, I understand. But if you see a red flag of anything, I think this guy doesn't have enough residential experience. Let me call him. Let me save the city $28,000 by one phone call and ask him, do you, yes or no? Because if we did not, I wouldn't stand here before you. So we do have it. All they need to do is ask, and we just provide them whatever they need. So I'm firmly requesting that we just, instead of going through the appeals process, which is a pain for all of us, we just say, table it, give us a little time, and whenever your next council meeting is, you decide. Let Mr. Tim and I have a meeting. We'll figure out what he needs, get it to him. If it's still insufficient, we understand, but we know it is sufficient, so we'd like to give you the information.
Thank you.
Mr. Massey, I had a question on, I think, as Mayor Pro Tem asked, you saw the location of this project, you went to the
Yes.
pre-bid meeting, you knew it was a residential
Yes.
project.
Yes.
The example projects that you did submit from, and I haven't seen the bid, what was your reasoning to submit the ones you did?
We have so many jobs that we did, sometimes it's hard to pick and choose. And like we've done with a lot of owners, if they ever have it, we usually do a lot of repeat work, so they know us. There's no need for anything. We submit a bid, and whatever we put behind it, we used to have a book like this of references, but then, oh, that's too many. We can't have that. So, so we've done so many projects that it's hard to pick and choose exactly the right one that fits the job, you know. So, you know, I apologize for that, but that's considered a very, very, very minor irregularity in a bid, which is very easily waived in any bid anywhere. And like I said, it doesn't change the price. It doesn't change who we are. It doesn't change our qualifications. It doesn't change anything. It's just information.
No doubt. I think Mr. Carlisle, our capital projects director, understands something significant about this project, and that's the residents who live on that street and the history of this project. And we certainly appreciate your bid. And so I think when looking at that responsible part, right, that's I'm not going to say that Fillmore's different, but it really is different than a lot of other cities. And so I understand your statements, and I hear your request to table, but I think there's been, it's clear that we've had some, well, at least two for sure, great companies, including yourself, to bid on the project. So, Councilor, are there any other questions at this time?
Well, I'm going to throw my hat in again. I did the figures. It's $24,092 and 50 cents, whatever. I think it's worth $24,000 to table it and have Tim talk with Mr. Massey, get everything ironed out, and then bring it forward to us. And if we decide that we want to go with Gibbs and Register or Massey or any of the four, that we make that decision, but we have all the information when we do.
Mr. Mayor, Tim, when did this bid process start?
December 12th, 2025.
Okay. So we've been at it a couple of months.
My apologies, December 18th, 2025.
December 18th, 2025. And Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
My concern is that's the street that floods. I've been out there in flip-flops and looking like you would not have believed cleaning a drain out during a thunderstorm. I mean, luckily none of our citizens saw me because they would have been scared to death. Pulling sea grapes up and draining that street in 4 minutes. I videoed it. So my only problem with tabling this is that we've known that Fillmore has this situation. We've got several areas in our town where water goes up to people's doors. And the longer we kick this out down the road, the closer we are, the further we're putting the date out to get this finished. And how long will this project take in the first place, Tim?
I haven't really sat down and gone over the timeline for it, but I know it's going to last over a year.
So it'll be over a year before we get that done. So every time we keep delaying getting Fillmore started, we're delaying resolution of water issues on that street. That's the part that bothers me. And I absolutely love saving money, Mr. Massey. I'm the one that, if you ever watch our meetings, you'll see I'm the one that loves to save the money.
Okay. We're ready to go. We're ahead of the game. We ordered our drainage structure submittals. We ordered our specialty box submittals. We're ready to go. We're not a contract that fools around. We're ready to go. We could build it in less time than what they have.
Well, not if we have to. If we have to table this.
If we protest it, it's going to take even longer. So, you know, because that's what we're going to do here if we don't table it.
Okay, I understand now.
A protest will just take us to the next meeting. I mean, it's a 5-day filing, my 5-day. Assume, you know, if we don't concur with him and want to go with this company, then it will come back before the next meeting anyway. Under those circumstances, not these.
When was the deadline to have the information turned into us for the RFPs? The bid back?
RFPs were due on February the 12th at 2:00 p.m.
Okay.
So I gave them roughly 2 months.
Okay.
Is the representative from Gibbs here, by chance?
No, they are not.
And have they been notified?
No, I have not notified anybody.
Okay. Mr. City Attorney, I was reading the bid things. It talks about rejection of bids. Section 2, 218, 5, and it has A, B, C, and it basically talks about the city may reject a bid. To select a vendor for what's before us tonight as a contract. Is that equate to rejecting the others, or is that rejection of bid something different?
No, that's something different, Mayor.
Okay,
I mean, this is about awarding the contract to the most responsive, responsible, and lowest bidder, based on the criteria and the code and in the ITB that was disseminated to the bidders. I haven't heard anything about rejecting a bid for being non-responsive or not meeting the basic requirements of the submittal.
Yeah, I think it just talks about the authority for us, and if a proposal does not conform to the technical specs, the bidder proposal is facially non-conforming as to acceptable materials and components or services, or the bid materially and substantially differs from the invitation for bids or request. And then when I jump down to 7, it talks about award to other than low bidder. So this is a scenario we're in. It says when the award is not made to the lowest bidder, a full and complete statement of the reasons for placing the contract elsewhere shall be prepared by the city and filed with other documents relating to the invitation for bids. I know that hasn't happened yet. You would need us to take action. But, okay, thank you. Are there any comments on the change orders, Mr. Massey? You heard the concerns on, what's your experience with that?
I don't see any at this time. You know, unfortunately, until you dig in the ground, you're not going to know what's there. We do a lot of value engineering on the projects, where we can move things around and not have a change order, you know, most of the time. Sometimes you do get in a situation where you have to change something, and that's where change orders come into play, because you have to change something.
And that was a standard term of the contract. It wasn't one of those price shall not exceed, if that's a whole different.
No, that's a whole different, yeah.
I see.
Yeah. He is correct.
Are there any other comments, questions? I think Councilmember King had spoken, our Mayor Pro Tem expressed some concerns.
The only, again, just to reiterate, the bids came in so close, $24,000 difference, which tells me that both Gibbs and Register and Massey General were competent and capable, and not having the ability to talk to Kimley Horn, talk with you, Tim, but your answer doesn't give me. They didn't give you the information you were looking for, and in your experience, it gave you red flags. But now that you're hearing him here, does that assuage your red flags somewhat, or are you still?
I would have liked them to present more of what we were looking for,
right,
in the front end documents of the
Right.
bid package,
right?
and that probably would have changed my mind. Yes.
Okay, so they're being penalized because they didn't give you additional information that might have changed your mind about the recommendation.
Pretty much.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you were right, Mr. Carlisle, that the work's substantially complete in 365 days in the agreement, so a year.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem.
So, one last question as I'm thinking of this. So, on the return package from Gibbs and Register, what kind of projects did they give you in the bid package?
I mean, the one that stuck out at us the most, including the engineer, was doing a Delaney Avenue improvements. And those improvements included roadway construction, including drainage improvements, replacement of existing sanitary sewers, utilities, water system, pedestrian traffic calming improvements. That one really stuck out at us because it included everything that we were looking to do. Not only that, but when some of these roads that we went through, we actually did a Google view on down to the road just to see kind of what kind of area it was in and the project it was. And Delaney was right in the middle of a two-sided residential road. So of course, immediately we were, it's kind of like, oh wow, they've done this before, they've seen this before. Not saying that Massey's never done that or seen it before, but this is kind of like when you go to apply for a job, you want to put your best foot forward, and that's what we figured that was coming in on this. And when I saw Delaney Avenue, I figured, oh man, this is what we're looking for. So that's why we did that.
Okay, and did Cathcart Construction do the same when they turned their information in?
I don't have any. I actually have their information here. Let me see.
Well, and you don't have to if you don't have it right in front of you.
Actually,
And what kind of projects did Mr. Massey provide to us
Their projects.
as examples?
As examples, their projects. I have them printed out here. They did. They gave us two different lists. One of them was within that's actually references. There's a 5-year project list, but they also filled out the section 303 of the bid package as well. Let me get to that. So similar projects within the state of Florida was if you want me to, I can go through these. Howland Boulevard widening, which consisted of milling, paving, inlets, manhole installation, RCP pipe, PVC pipe, yard drains, concrete signage, and striping. Another one was Turnbull Bay Road paved shoulders, which consisted of adding paved shoulders, resurfacing a roadway, realign a portion of the road, grading, drainage improvements, striping, and signage.
Excuse me, may I say one thing with that?
Yeah.
You just have to let him finish.
Both those projects were in residential neighborhoods. Holland Boulevard is in the middle of Deltona. That's in a resident. It was in a residential neighborhood. Actually, so was the other one you just said. Also in a residential neighborhood, Turnbull. So.
I think where I'm at right now is that I think this council, what we don't want to do is move forward. If a protest comes from any of the contractors, I want to know confidently where we are and stand, and our projects director I have confidence in, but he can only work with the information he's provided, and I think he did that. And but there's certainly some confusion, but also with the opportunity to, I think, understand these bids. And so and our city manager, I think, is the math stands, it's going to be April if a protest, which is not a reason to not move forward with the right. Due to it's a difficult decision with the two reputable companies. I'm not referring to the landscaping and the other as much, which they have their rights as well. But perhaps we're in March. For the sake of time, it's the third Tuesday in April is our next meeting. I'd be willing to have a standalone meeting, but I don't want to.
Well, we've got that
bring
one.
it back.
We've got CIP,
Yep.
Another workshop. So, the timing is what is difficult with this, because I want to get it awarded. Not that I'm not willing to consider you, Mr. Maskey, but I you know, I'm just, you know, we were at the point of awarding it and it being on our agenda to do it. But if we need to put it off, we need to just put it off to the next meeting, and, you know, if we can have a workshop or whatever, we can do that. But, you know, it's slowing the process down for our citizens is what bothers me. That bothers me because when you go out to bid, and maybe we do need to have a workshop because we need to discuss the fact that we're not going to go with the engineer's recommendation that we just paid a lot of money for with Kimley Horn on who they recommended as well. So, you know, we need to maybe question some of those things and how much we're willing to pay to ignore their recommendations.
Yeah, my thought was just in fairness to Tim and Kimley Horn, to your point, is that, you know, if we had these bid packages, and certainly Kimley Horn, we could understand it. We got the letter from Kimley Horn. It states their reasoning, I think, in there, why relevant and similar projects and favorable responses. But because it's one of the biggest projects we're going to do, and I think I don't want to let 30 days get in the way, and with us moving forward, and if we might stay the course, we may not change, but we'll at least have it with doing our due diligence beyond what we normally do. We usually consider the recommendation of our city staff, who does deep dive and due diligence, and in this case, I want to be as fair as we can be. So,
Mayor.
Councilmember Willis.
In my experience, I've done hundreds of RFPs, filled them out, completed them, submitted them for my company, for other companies, and all of the RFPs listed the criteria that were necessary, the information desired, and you have to put it in there. That was my responsibility as business owner, to make sure that these things were completed. It was detailed. You checked off every box. And if Tim didn't get that in the original, I'm not saying that you don't have it. I'm just in looking at what was submitted, I think there was some areas where you could have provided more information or more detail. Maybe that was required, maybe it wasn't, but you have to operate on what you're given, and I think Tim has given us exactly what he's received and the recommendation that he has based on the material he was given. And going forward, I think if Mr. Massey wants to challenge our award, that's well within his right, and we would let the city manager deal with it, and we're moving forward.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's exactly what we're looking at, and in the event that challenge came in, I go back to, I think, Councilmember King's statement on, after hearing this, to our capital projects director, because you can only work with what you have in front of you. And yes, bids, you miss a box, and especially in government contracting, those are red flags. That attention to detail in the work is just as important as on the bid as well. But after talking through this, Tim, the request from the contractor is to table it. We want to support you and make sure that you know that if more time is best for you, then I'd speak for myself, I'd be willing to do that. If you feel that knowing this new information, we should go forward, I'll respect that as well.
Either or. I'm going to leave it in your hands. I can do either one. We can stand by and wait until April, or we can get moving on the project today. Or, of course, not today. It's kind of late, but whenever, whatever you guys want. So.
Okay. Yes, Councilmember Short.
The Delaney Avenue project that Gibbs used as an example, when was that? Did they say?
It was October 19, 2025 to actual time to complete was December 24, 2025 is when they actually completed it.
Okay. I remember Delaney Avenue rang a bell for me when you mentioned it, because I was about a year and a half ago, I remember seeing on the news that there was a drainage project on Delaney Avenue in Orlando, and I just Googled it while we're sitting here, and it was September 3rd, 2024, so would they have been working on that then?
Most likely, yeah. If the end date was around December, it could have been over a year project.
My only concern is that, according to this, they caused flooding during their project. They flooded homes that had never flooded before. It's something I would have to say, I want to look into that one before I'd use it as a reference.
We have excellent references. We don't do that.
It just happened to ring a bell. I wonder if that's something we could look into and see whatever happened with that, because I remember it being on the news, and they had the county or their city commissioners came out and looked at it, and people's homes flooded, and they didn't have flood insurance because of where they were located, and they had never flooded before, and the activity from the construction to improve their drainage actually flooded their homes in the process. And I would hate to have that happen on Fillmore Avenue.
Amen.
According to Tim, that was Gibbs and Register
Yes,
that did that
correct.
project.
Yeah.
Just-
Normally, I don't.
Yeah, it's a headline. Yeah, it was all over the news. I remember it. And
Normally, I don't go digging all the dirt up on every single contractor.
I'm a nosy guy. I
I'm sure
research
there's
stuff.
mistakes that are made with every contractor and legal matters that are with every contractor. In fact, I know that for a fact.
Okay.
So, but yeah,
I have no idea whatever happened with that, but it was just it struck me as I remember they had issues with the project actually causing.
well, if it's under construction and we get one of those heavy downpours, nothing's impossible. It depends on, and I know the news likes to throw things out there and elaborate on it in their own words and stuff. So I don't even believe half the news that I hear these days. But it could have been from many different things. It could have been, they were in the middle of putting stormwater pipe in, didn't have it in, and all of a sudden all this rain came and they had nowhere to go or things of that nature. But yeah, I do take things like that into consideration here and there. But I would like to see the cause of why they flooded.
I have no idea what the cause of that was, but it
Sure.
just happened to ring a bell. It was like that's
Yeah.
their project. It was all over the news that they flooded the neighborhood.
Yeah,
I think that's your point.
that's not good.
Yeah, that's my point. Is maybe we should do a little bit of research into that Delaney Avenue project
Yeah.
and see what happened with it.
Okay.
Because I don't know what the resolution was or whatever happened after the flooding, if it flooded again or what if they determined the cause. But
Sure.
I would not want to see that happen to our residents on Fillmore.
Not knowing the start date of these, I think that the city's going to be in the best position to make this decision with more information. I feel that. And if it's 30 days for $4.6 million to make sure it's right, I do think that that's the right. And then if protests come in, we can say we did our due diligence. And beyond, we had to verify this and that, and it's beyond what the scope of what Mr. Carlisle needed to do, but I think that's prudent.
If we do discuss this further, can we look at the cost for the Kimley Horn engineering on this? Because truly, what was that, this ballpark?
For just the review?
Uh-huh.
For just the review part?
Uh-huh.
I'd have to pick it apart. Each task that the engineers normally give us are broken out in certain sections. That could maybe be part of the bid process that they charge $4,000 for. So we'd have to say, well, how much is the review part of it?
Right. I would like to know how much they charged in whole for this Fillmore project and how much they charged to review. Because if we're not going to listen to them, why are we paying them? I mean, truly.
And if the part of that task order is to be here and answer questions and to support, we want to get what we pay for as well.
Well, I mean, it's truly, if we're not going to do it, then and we're not going to listen to the recommendations, we should be paying for the services that we want out of them. and then using our expertise to determine for the bid award. So I just want to make sure we include that when we go forward, since it sounds like we're going to table this, so that we can look at that, because that's a huge waste of money if I'm betting. And if we're not going to listen to our engineer, we shouldn't be paying for that part of it. So.
No, I think that whatever we paid for what goes beyond what they stated in this letter, and any questions is Councilmember Shoryak and
But it may be able to, it may give us a way to clean up our bid process.
oh yeah, I do agree with that. And I think, Tim, you said either way that it's 30 days for $4 million, and yeah, I think that is how the best option under this circumstances, and that the questions that have been raised, it's not a lack of confidence, it's just a lot of questions that say, okay, fine, well, we're going to look at it and we'll go down the path and we'll understand what we paid for, I think at a minimum, from our engineers. And
Well, and the other thing too, April is the driest month of the year in Florida, so we've got a little bit of time.
Well, and when you look at this sheet that I had Tim print out for me, this is the project scope, and the scope of what we're looking at. And there was an increase in the project.
in the first, it's two-sided. Are you on side 2 or 1?
Well, no, on side 2 gives you the total cost.
Yep.
But the original estimate was about 1.5 million less, or however much. Tim?
Yeah, I think originally I had told Todd Morley at the time that the total was going to be around 3.5, and I believe the engineer at the time came back with 3.1 or 3.2, and that's when I started trying to cut things like the what was it, the artwork on the ground and the lighting and stuff, and really concentrate on the most important stuff. So unfortunately I have to say the OPC was really off, which is the opinion of probable cost on this one.
Okay.
So
but I think that, when I had prepared for this agenda item, it wasn't I prepared for the fact that we're going to award a vendor, but that wasn't what my questions were. This is why I had Tim print this out for us, because there was a substantial difference. And Mayor, I remember you saying, we're not going to be the fun council, we're not going to get to plant the trees, right? Remember that? We don't get to be the ones that make it pretty. But this is increased, probably because of cost increase from that time to now. Tim just said that the estimates were not exactly the best back then. And so I think we need to look at the project as a whole if we're going to table this, not just from a vendor standpoint, but from a standpoint of what all are we doing, and are there any differences from when we originally spoke about this because of the increase on it, and make sure that we're doing what we discussed that we wanted as a council when we decided that. Now, that's just my personal opinion, because we've added in rain garden, which I'm going to tell you, I love the rain garden at Veterans Park. It does a great job of flood control, but those things were added in, and they aren't super expensive, but things have had to be added in, and I think probably a workshop on this with Tim to help us understand what has changed with before's estimate and now, and if how the scope of work might have changed. That was what my original intent with this agenda item was, And then with our public comment, you know, we've addressed that part. But I think if we're going to table it, then we need to really look at it and just make sure that we as a council have a good understanding of what Tim needs for this project and what has been proposed. And if we're not going to take the recommendation of Kimley Horn, then let's look at this. And we'll be responsible for making sure that it's what we think is right. And we're not necessarily going with what they recommend. We're already not going to. So we need to look at this.
Yes, I just think that Kimley Horn may not have, you know, all the information. And like Councilmember Willis said, that's the bid game. I think we don't want to, it would take something substantial if we learn that it's different, because it would start, that would be no bigger delay than that. You should probably have to start the whole bid process over, reject bids, and we don't want to do that unless there's just something glaring that
But we should
we
should understand the difference between what that was bid back then and what we have now. I believe that if we're going to table it, we need to understand the scope, because this is larger.
So April is our meeting. We've already talked about potentially coming together with the city manager and goals, and maybe that's not the best meeting for that, but I think this is extremely important. It is the template for the presidential streets. Whether we continue to do this, we're gonna have to figure out something different to continue it. If it wasn't a flooding issue, that's I don't
Capital
see that being
improvement
financially
project
sustainable
meeting
across 17
also.
streets. So I think
Capital Improvement Project meeting, the CIP meeting.
there.
City manager said
Okay.
that would
We
be a
were
good
we were
time.
tentatively looking for April for that as well, as we discussed earlier, the CIP time of year.
Well, this is a big CIP.
Yeah.
But, you know, that was last year. That's been bidded, and we're here. And so I agree, understanding this one, if it's important, and I think a best case scenario is we'd make a decision in April. And we have 30 days that maybe the contractors can make up. But does that sound okay? I know it's kind of an evolving opinion here.
Yeah.
Mayor?
Sure.
Just another reminder, another item on the agenda is to schedule a workshop for either March or April for the Tetra Tech, which we'll discuss next or soon. So just reminding of the workload.
We're going to be busy in April, y'all.
So I'm kind of keen to say, since it sounds like we're going to have multiple workshops on not only the Tetra Tech but also this, maybe we could all do it for a good half day. And
Get multiple items for one workshop.
Yeah, just hash it out if everybody's available. That's just an idea.
Well, there's already dates proposed for the next item on the agenda.
Okay.
You know, perhaps that's what you'll consider
You're
then.
saying pair them up together, like, I think that'd be ideal if we're going to do it. Is Kimley Horn involved on that one as well? The Tetra Tech?
No, that's Tetra Tech's a different engineer.
Birds, one stone, but, okay. Any other questions for?
No. I think I've done enough damage.
No, well, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Pleasure meeting all of you.
We'll see what the council does here, and
Thank
we
you.
appreciate it. Thank you, Tim. Council, we've discussed it. I think we're looking for a motion.
I can try. How's that?
We can talk through it before you make it,
Okay.
if you want to.
I'm getting ahead of my skis, I feel like.
Well, no, just amending a motion's not fun. Getting a bit clunky. I don't think it's date certain. We've got proposed dates. So I think we list our city attorney on whether it's tabling, postponing, or no action. But I think one of those three.
What exactly does, if the council is inclined to table this or postpone it to the next meeting for the award, what is the reason that you all want to do that. And my summation is comparing similar projects and experience between the two lowest bidders. I've heard some discussion about that. Now, if that's the reason, each bidder under the bid documents was required to list at least 10 similar projects completed within the last 10 years. Isn't that correct, Tim? Section 00303. There's a form that each of the bidders should have submitted. So if it's the council's inclination to review the two lowest bidders' similar projects, then that is what needs to come back to the city council.
And would that, so both vendors would be able to resubmit additional projects, correct?
If that's the council's direction, then what I would recommend is that Tim would send out a notice to the contractors, requesting that if they want to modify that particular list, then they can certainly do that or clarify it. So when it comes back to the council, you're comparing apples to apples on similar projects rather than just hearing from one contractor. And then you can make your decision on the award, right? That would be my suggestion at this point, given what I've heard. The focus is on that bid document.
Yeah, I think that more information, you just specified that absolutely a very key point of information. Councilmember Shoryak raised an issue on information that was provided, that if that's true, I think that.
Can I add to that? I'm implying that staff, when they have this list, if either one of the contractors decides to modify it, right, staff should go back and review those projects that each bidder has submitted and check references, check status of those, quote, similar projects. That section in document that was required to be submitted is very clear to me. 10 similar projects completed in the last 4 years. That's what the city wanted to evaluate. So, under the circumstances, give the two lowest bidders an opportunity to clean up that document. Staff does its due diligence, checks references, reviews. That information comes back to the city council, and then the council decides the award.
And maybe not related to your point. So I think we're clear on city attorney's recommendation there.
So no workshop required, just bring this back at the next meeting after that review. Is that what we're?
With additional information.
With the additional.
Yeah, and I think anything with Kimley Horn, reviewing maybe more information, that's aside. If any individual council member wants to dig deeper or look or verify, which would be like a workshop, I think that the city attorney.
That's the critical document based on this discussion.
Yep.
If I may, can I ask a question? When we bring it back in April, do you guys want a recommendation then of after our findings with collected data?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I would say we are not the technical experts, and.
Okay.
You got it.
Yeah, thank you.
I think that's your point, Mr. Massey.
Yes, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Councilmember Willis?
So we're really not setting up a workshop. We're just bringing that back at next council meeting, so we're taking no action.
Yeah, so do we, as far as,
I believe
you're saying postpone with a specific reason, city attorney, as you stated, or table?
I would recommend a motion to postpone the award of this bid to the city council's regular meeting in April. and directing staff provide additional information regarding similar projects that were required to be submitted under section 00303 of the IPB.
I'll never remember all that.
As stated by the city attorney. Yeah. Most importantly, I think our city clerk needs to understand the motion, and then we can say as stated by our city attorney.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I'll get it. I can get it off the recording.
All right. Would you like me to put it in?
If there's not any more questions at this time, I think we can
Oh.
go.
Okay, all right. I'm going to move to table the decision to award a contract for the Fillmore Street project until additional information is obtained from the two lowest bidders to be decided upon in our April meeting. That good?
I'll second.
And then present additional information regarding similar projects and under the bid.
That too.
Second. Yeah. Okay. Got a motion by Councilmember King and a second by Councilmember Willis on the stated motion. Any further discussion or clarification from our city clerk? Good.
I'm good.
Call the roll, please.
All right. Mayor Pro Tem Jackson?
4.
Councilmember King?
4.
Mayor Morrison?
4.
Councilmember Shoryak?
4.
Councilmember Willis?
4.
All right. Chair, the motion passes 5-0. Thank you again. Nice meeting you all. You too. And City Clerk's Office, well, you provided us the document, so we don't need to, you have records, obviously.
Yes.
All right. As our city manager said, the next one, which we're going backwards here because we moved it up, is numbered as 9.2, which I think technically would be 9.3 now. But 9.2 is the Water Reclamation Facility Capacity Evaluation by Tetra Tech Workshop. This is a motion to consider holding a workshop to discuss the Water Reclamation Facility Capacity Evaluation findings from Tetra Tech. So City Manager, what are we thinking here?
Well, thank you, Mayor. The city contracted with Tetra Tech late last October to study our water reclamation facility to determine how it's operating and what improvements may be needed to form the technical basis for future design and upgrade decisions. Staff recommends that the council consider hearing that report in the form of a workshop to understand facility operations, flow projections for existing properties and future developments, as well as current and future infrastructure needs. We have Director Clark and Deputy Director Erdman here today if you had any questions for them. And you have 5 dates to choose from. Staff's recommendation is that you start as soon as you can so that you have as much time as you feel you need to discuss this important information. I will state that Director Clark will only be able to attend remotely during the April 7th and 9th meetings. I think her presence here is important, as well as Deputy Director Erdman. But it's your decision, obviously, whatever works for the council.
Thank you, City Manager. Those dates were listed, was it in the agenda summary? No. Is this separate?
Yeah, I can review them if you like.
Okay, so, thank you. I gotta go backwards.
Yeah, you go, next page.
Okay. So, as our city manager said, thank you. There's a couple of criteria. The sooner the better. March 27th is the soonest. Earlier in the day is the second one. That one's, nothing's earlier in the afternoon. And then having our director, Ms. June Clark, and Deputy Director, Ms. Erdman, available. That's one of 2 or 3 that they could make it. And so I think we should start there. Is March 27th suffice? If there's not an issue, I recommend we go to March 30th. And then because I think it's important that you're here. If you agree, and if you have any statement or comment, you can come forward. I really look forward to learning more about this, and thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem?
On those dates, April 7th and 9th, I'm not real excited to consider those two because of the conclusion time. This is an important topic that we've been trying to really get our hands around, is that capacity on that water processing plant. And so I think that we should make sure that we give the workshop days where if we need to, overextend, that we can.
Overextend the time?
Mm-hmm.
So that March 27th is a Friday.
30th is
30th
Monday.
is Monday.
Mr. Mayor,
Either one of them work. Yes, Councilmember Willis.
I will be unavailable the week of April 6th through the 10th.
Okay. Oh. That just knocked out 3. I see what you did there. Okay, so
Yeah, that's.
fourth criteria, if we went off 5 council members, we're really looking at the 27th, 30th. Mayor Pro Tem pointed out some issues with some
Yeah,
of
that
those.
week also doesn't work for me as well, the April dates,
Oh.
Mr. Mayor.
Okay, we're down to a quorum, one more, and we're done. No, I'm teasing. So I don't have an issue with the 27th or 30th for me, so I can. And you did not. I didn't hear that from you either.
I think it would be great to be able to do it during the day for staff members anyway.
I do need,
Doesn't work as well right now like mine.
It's just, you know.
I
Late in
do,
the day,
I do
agreed.
need to note, Mr. Mayor, that the 27th and the 30th, I don't know if I'm going to be scheduled to work on those days. I
Okay.
can always request a day off if necessary, so that we do have a quorum, but just FYI.
Understood. Is
Okay.
there a day, well, is
No,
that the
the-
case for
of the
all of
two.
them?
Yeah, that's
Okay,
pretty much, yeah.
It's a
So-
little too far out,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Okay, I think Councilmember Shoryak, 27th and 30th is okay for you?
Yep.
Okay, let's go for the 27th and
That way if something else comes up, we can
we have,
meet on the 30th, we got another date.
Start time, perhaps 1 o'clock? 1 o'clock? Yeah.
if you were scheduled, Councilmember King, is there a time that would?
If we're going to meet on that date and I'm scheduled for that date, I'm going to take that day off.
Okay, understood. Thank you. I can meet earlier as well.
Is, okay, 1 o'clock is their start, the earliest they can start. Thank you.
Yeah, I would say if it's, 1 or any time after.
If you start at 1, you have 4 hours for the normal workday for staff.
Mhm.
If you start later and it goes longer than 4 hours, you could go after, we'll stay. That's not an issue either way.
Yeah.
But again, the earlier you start, the more time you have without any constraints.
That works for me, so I think we'll need a motion for March 27th at 1 PM.
I make a motion, we schedule a meeting for Tetra Tech for March 27th, 1 PM.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilmember Willis, a second by Councilmember Shoryak on the motion to schedule the workshop as stated. Any further discussion? City Clerk, we have that? Call the roll, please.
Got it. Mayor Pro Tem Jackson,
4.
Councilmember King,
4.
Mayor Morrison,
4.
Councilmember Shoryak,
4.
Councilmember Willis.
4.
Okay, that takes us to the last item for action, 9.4, which is the Florida Department of Environmental Protection wastewater reclamation facility permit renewal. Motion to consider the approval of Tetra Tech's proposal for engineering services in the amount of $124,819 to prepare FDEP wastewater reclamation facility permit FL 00205541 renewal application, which is set to expire on May 31st, 2027. Mr. City Manager?
So the purpose of this item, council, is to renew a permit for the city to be able to discharge effluents suitable for discharge into surface water locally. Our permit currently expires May of '27, and we must apply at least 6 months in advance of that expiration. The application fee must also be received by the Florida Department of Environmental Protection by December 2nd of 2026. Tetra Tech has been requested to provide the engineering services to prepare this application with supporting documentation, and the permit renewal packet is fairly significant if you had a chance to take a look at it. There are multiple items that must be attached, and the sooner they can get started, the sooner we can get this package put together for FDEP to consider. And we again have staff on hand if you have any questions.
Thank you. Yes, I see the, yes, 7 tasks or 6 tasks and the breakdown for that. With the operations and maintenance performance report being the largest. Council, any comments or questions on this proposal? So the initial application, was that completed by Tetra Tech? Or is that not something that happened? Is because I'm saying the renewal, so it's expiring?
Yeah, it's expiring.
And the initial, was there an initial?
Could one of you come to the podium?
Thank you, June.
Good evening, sorry about that. Tweaked my back, so. The application has to be done by Tetra Tech. Everything has to be done by Tetra Tech. We're just trying to get a jump start on it so we can have this done by October and then into them by December.
Thank you. Okay.
I'm standing here, I'm not going anywhere.
Any other questions for Public Works Director while she's here? Thank you. I think we're good.
Okay.
Looking for a motion if we're ready.
Make a motion to approve the proposal for engineering services in the amount of $124,819 to prepare the FDEP wastewater reclamation facility permit.
I'll make a second.
Got a motion by Councilmember Willis, a second by Mayor Pro Tem Jackson. Are there any other comments at this time? Questions? Debate?
Oh, one quick, that was just a nod of the head. That is being submitted in December or by December?
The fee must be paid. Yeah.
Everything, okay.
Thank you for getting a start on it. Okay, City Clerk, please call the roll.
Mayor Pro Tem Jackson,
4.
Councilmember King,
4.
Mayor Morrison,
4.
Councilmember Shoryak,
4.
and Councilmember Willis.
4. Item passes 5-0. Which brings us to the public hearing section. We have 2 tonight, and the good news is that these are the final 2 major items that we have on this agenda, other than reports. And we're at 9:20, so final stretch here. 9.5 is the first reading and public hearing, ordinance 01-2026, beachfront dunes and native vegetation protection and enforcement. And with that, I'll hand it to our city attorney.
This is first reading of ordinance 01-2026, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Cape Canaveral, Brevard County, Florida, providing for the protection and enforcement of beachfront dunes and native vegetation on public property, providing for the repeal of prior inconsistent ordinances and resolutions, incorporation into the code, severability, and an effective date. Again, this is first reading and a public hearing item, and as the title indicates, this is pertaining to public property, not private property. And I think Connor, did you want to?
Yeah, I can give a brief
Mayor, I think
summary of
Connor
it.
wanted us
So,
to do a summary. He
yeah,
insists.
I'll be presenting on behalf of CED tonight. So the big key that Anthony just said is that this is amending the code to explicitly address the protection and enforcement of public land. So this is not related to private property or the beach areas that condo associations may own. It's for native beachfront vegetation and dune systems on public property. The state of Florida, FDEP, has jurisdiction over coastal construction. They have their coastal construction control line, which for us, most parts of the city is right along Ridgewood, a little bit east of Ridgewood. So FDEP will continue to enforce sea grape or vegetation rules that they have, but this ordinance would allow the city to utilize its home rule powers to govern activities on its own land. That would ensure that local enforcement mechanisms are in place to prevent the unauthorized destruction of these resources. I know we've had some instances with our sea grapes recently, and it's just overall generally meant to create a process for any sort of trimming or maintenance of city property vegetation. So a key provision in it is the city maintenance exception, which permits necessary repairs, restoration, or public safety activities within these areas, but that's only if conducted according to a written maintenance plan approved by the city manager or designee. And then in that instance, the activity would be limited to the minimum necessary to achieve the purpose and employ methods that protect native vegetation and maintain the integrity of our dune system. Just some big points to hit before I wrap up. Passing this ordinance would help strengthen natural barriers against storm surge, flooding, and coastal erosion. It would provide us as city staff specific enforcement mechanisms to prevent the unauthorized removal of coastal plants on our land as a city. It would ensure that city maintenance and public safety work can proceed under structured, ecologically sensitive guidelines, and it is in alignment with our comprehensive plan. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Thank you, Connor. The key words in the purpose and the findings is really native. The one thing I would think, I know this is first reading, is we referenced the Florida Native Plant Society. What did we reference that on? There was something and I really liked that.
I think that was for our tree protection ordinance last year.
Which these would be in there. I'm not saying that, but my thought, so if I walk by and there's a Brazilian pepper tree popping its little head up, I can snatch that thing out and I might have done that at one point in my life. No shame. No, I'm teasing. So do we want to keep it native or is that too specific? I agree with that. Or do we?
Anthony, could you kind of speak to the reasoning behind native being worded in there, if you think it's necessary or not?
That appeared to be the direction of the staff, not, she's not here to speak.
Yeah, and it was Abigail Holmes that started this up. She's on maternity leave.
It wasn't to it was to protect what's native, what actually belongs there, not invasive species or anything like that. So I think that's why I think she originally gave the direction on how she wanted this ordinance to be prepared. And it made a lot of sense to me, at least, that it'd be native dune
It's
vegetation.
everything I'm thinking of. The sea grapes, dune sunflower, railroad vine, obviously sea oats.
Yeah, I
That's
don't think
the
we
issues
particularly
with the
have
sea-
any invasive or non-native plants, especially those that protect our shoreline are native, so.
Yeah, I don't think it's an issue. I just wanted to say, should we strike the native and just keep any vegetation? But I
It's
like
first
it.
reading, we can seek clarification.
I'm
and-
fine. Exactly, we can take it.
I guess question, Wes, so native is something naturally grows in this area. It doesn't necessarily mean something that the city planted. Is that?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And that was the benefit, thank you, Councilmember Schreier, is said as defined by the native. So are we defining native? Should we maybe on the next reading or so say as defined by? Items don't really get added to or taken away from the native list. I think usually they're,
Yeah, and we very well could
And-
even
and-
cite the same, plant society.
if there's a benefit, I think native, as I understand it, is as far back as the records, there's no explicit way to prove that it was native, but going back to the earliest settlers, the records and the
And one thing
show.
to add is that in our code, we already have a definition of native vegetation.
Good.
And it reads, plant material indigenous to the city, including all those species listed in, but not limited to those in section 10252. And in that code, it talks about all plants, required in this section or elsewhere in city codes shall be selected from the list of desirable species and plants in the Florida Native Plant Society's list
there
of
it
native
is.
plants. So I think we may already have it covered through a prior code reference.
Sounds like it to me.
Yep.
Sorry to cut you. Councilmember Shoryak, I interjected. Was there anything else?
I think that was it. But is there anything in this ordinance, could somebody come along and say, well, the city planted these COs, so I can go ahead and rip them up? They weren't native to that
I think that
particular
the
piece
way
of ground,
that
or?
native is defined, it focuses more on being indigenous rather than being new or old. So I think
Okay.
those would still be protected.
Okay.
Yeah.
If the species or the cultivar or whatever the scientific name is native, whether you planted it yesterday or 10 years.
So this would address, like I would notice during the CO planning that a couple condos had chopped down their sea grapes. Was that on city
That's
property? Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
So this is
Close
going to
to
address
the
that
beach
kind of stuff.
crossovers is city property.
Okay.
And
Okay.
yeah.
Very good. Thank you.
Yeah, and those palms that pop up, we dealt with that on Beachside Fillmore. She showed photos from 15, 20 years ago, and it is kind of weird. The seedlings start to pop up and palms shoot up, and it's blocking the view, but those are sable palms. Those are native, I think, yeah.
Yep.
But here's a good example. The coconut palm that we see, Washington Avenue, you got them. They really struggled in this last call. Those are not, to my understanding, native. They're beautiful. But that just... Okay. Any other questions or comments, concerns? You hit the main issue, Councilmember Shoryak, that I think we've all had to deal with up here is those massive, there's a process, 1/3 and all that, and this just gives us some home rule, as Connor said, and I think we just learned in Indian Atlantic Beach, one resident in a condo or a neighbor went and just scalped them. And so he not only had the city, but all of the neighbors. He was fined $10,000.
Oh, my gosh. I saw one of our neighbors doing that. She took a ladder, and she put the ladder up against the trees, and she started sawing away at them because they were impeding her view.
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes down to view, and you also have to prioritize resilience and safety as well.
Yeah. Well, these, I believe, were sea grapes.
And the enforcement, there's a fee schedule, or is it, we don't handle any fees or fines? Or is
I
it
think the
FTP?
fee schedule would be as outlined in code enforcement schedule.
Okay.
But this is more just about the process for getting it approved.
Okay.
There's an enforcement section that refers you to the code enforcement section
I
for
see
any
that.
violations.
And will we have to come back and set a fee, or does that already
No, sir.
exist?
No, it already exists.
Okay, great. A motion would be appropriate if ready.
Move to approve ordinance 01-2026.
I'll second.
And this is I got a motion by Councilmember Shoryak, a second by Councilmember Willis. This is a public hearing item. We do have the motion on the table. We've asked our questions. So if anyone would like to speak on the motion as a public hearing item, please come forward. This is on ordinance 01-2026. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close public hearing. Bring it back. The motion's on the floor. Any further discussion? Seeing none, City Clerk?
Mayor Pro Tem Jackson.
4.
Councilmember King.
Or
Mayor Morrison.
4.
Councilmember Shoryak.
4.
And Councilmember Willis.
4.
Let the record show ordinance 01-2026 on first reading. Passes 5-0. Brings us to the second and final public hearing, item 9.6, another first reading and public hearing on ordinance 02-2026, titled Reasonable Accommodations Request. City Attorney.
Okay, it's ordinance 02-2026, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Cape Canaveral, Florida, amending Subpart B Land Development Code, Chapter 110 Zoning, Article 9, Supplemental District Regulations of the City Code to add a new Division 10, Reasonable Accommodation Request, establishing procedures for processing requests for reasonable accommodation from the city's land development regulations, which shall also be applicable to certified recovery residences in order to comply with Florida statutes, Section 397.487, providing for the repeal of prior inconsistent ordinances, resolutions, incorporation into the code, severability, and an effective date. So this is first reading of this ordinance, also a public hearing item. So that ordinance went before the Planning and Zoning Board as well, and I didn't mention it for the previous ordinance, but the P&Z Board recommended approval of this ordinance with one correction to a typographical error on page 4, line 10. It says profession, it should be professional. So this ordinance comes to the council because Florida statutes requires that the city council adopt an ordinance allowing certified recovery residences within the city. That is a mandate under Florida law. And as part of that requirement, the council is required under that Florida statute to adopt a reasonable accommodation procedure where certified recovery residents can apply to be an acceptable land use. Certified recovery residences are licensed by the state of Florida, so they're licensed facilities. And the process on reasonable accommodation would apply not only to the certified recovery residences, but in general to other types of situations where the Fair Housing Act or the Americans with Disabilities Act may come into play regarding the application of local land development regulations. In some cases, due to specific conditions that are protected under the ADA or protected under the Fair Housing Act, sometimes local regulations have to yield to provide reasonable accommodation. So this ordinance establishes a process by which a person can request that reasonable accommodation. So not only for seeking the ability to allow a certified recovery residence, but also generally with respect to Americans with Disabilities Act or Fair Housing Act issues, where a person feels like they need to request some reasonable accommodation. They'll go through a formal process as laid out in this ordinance. So that's the general gist of it. It's a statutory mandate that the legislature enacted. We're a little bit behind schedule. It was due to be enacted by January 1, but we're behind a little bit, just a little bit, not too much. I'd be happy to answer any specific questions.
Thank you, City Attorney. Very helpful. A little bit different order. Should have done this in the first public hearing. If there's any, we'll do technical questions, any clarification with city staff, go to public hearing, and then we'll bring it back and for motion to be made. So at this time, do we have any questions or for the city staff? Not? None? So this is a public hearing item. I'd like to open that up. If anyone would like to speak on the ordinance just read by our city attorney, ordinance 02-2026 on reasonable accommodation request, please come forward. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close public participation or the hearing and bring it back to the council. It makes sense to me when you hear mandate, whether you like it or not. We're on the first reading, and I think Obviously, we'll have it done in April, and thank you. We can move.
Make a motion that we adopt ordinance number 02-2026, reasonable accommodation request on the first reading.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilmember Willis and a second by Councilmember Shoryak. Stated. Any debate, discussion? That's a debate. An exhale. What can we do? City Clerk, please call the roll.
Mayor Pro Tem Jackson.
4.
Councilmember King.
4.
Mayor Morrison.
4.
Councilmember Shoryak.
4.
And Councilmember Willis.
4.
Ordinance 02-2026 passed 5-0 on first reading, which ends our public hearings. It brings us to item number 10, item for discussion, which we have none. Item number 11 is reports. If we are at 9:37, we can go down the line. Councilmember King?
No, I have nothing to report.
Councilmember Shoryak?
Attended Space Coast League of Cities meeting with council members Willis and King, and also had a really good meet and greet meeting with Tamsin and her staff. I met all of her different departments and got a nice overview of what they have going on. It's very informative. I'm moving on. Going to meet with June and tour all of our facilities and just kind of work my way through the rest of the department heads.
That's fantastic. Report. Councilmember Willis?
Yeah, I've got several. I have a legislative update as legislature has closed, but they will be having special session in April, possibly on into the summer for several issues. But I do have a report on pertinent legislation that was in the House and the Senate, and as it pertains to the city of Cape Canaveral. I printed it out. I'll give everybody a copy and what it meant to the city, the basic gist of the legislation and how it would have impacted us. So I'll pass that out if anybody.
Thank you.
Rather than read them all, but and on February 25th, attended the East Central Florida Regional Planning Council's executive board meeting, then their regular board meeting, and then the Diamond Awards luncheon along with Mayor Pro Tem Jackson. And I had the honor of and privilege of presenting the East Central Florida Regional Planning Council Diamond Award to Molly Thomas and Zach Eichholz for the excellence in technology and big data for our Veterans Memorial Park, Smart Rain Garden. So that was special. It was good, and I was very happy for them to get that award. Also attended the Jeffersonian Roundtable with Mayor Pro Tem Jackson and City Manager Touchberry, and that facilitated discussion among council members and regional partners focused on long-term challenges and opportunities facing East Central Florida, including growth management, resilience, housing affordability, regional mobility, and that was very interesting, very informative. And at that meeting, we were given the Brevard County Risk Assessment Profile. And Councilmember Jackson, I believe you got one as well, and
Yes.
City Manager. But I'll have one for the City Clerk. If you would like one, I can get you a copy of it. So it was interesting to read. And then I also attended the Art of What's Next Leadership Summit there for February 26th to 27th. Also attended the e-bike safety class at the C5. It was sponsored by the BCSO, Space Coast TPO, A1A Outdoors and Bike Walk Central Florida on February 28th. And there were about 52 residents in attendance for the safety presentation and rules of the road, and many of them received free bike helmets. So it was a good turnout for that. And on March 9th, as Mr. Shoryak mentioned, I attended the Space Coast League of Cities board meeting in Grant, Valcaria, And this meeting was also a presentation of the Space Coast League of Cities annual scholarships to Brevard County recipients, and we awarded 7 scholarships for local deserving students, and your daughter needs to apply.
Amen.
So that's my report.
Thank you, Councilmember Willis. And yeah, I think if I get that online, I'll check it out.
There is
I remember, I think the first one.
There is a URL on the last page, and I can send that to you or let you copy it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Jackson.
Well, Dawn just reported I was at multiple of those. And also, we both were at the Roosevelt Cape View Open House for the kids to come over. They've been gradually integrating the 2 schools so that helps the children adjust. I'm very happy to see that happening. And it was really nice getting to see the Roosevelt facility that our children will be going to. So I thought that was, in a very difficult situation, it was very good way to handle it. Not that I'm happy about Cape View, but I definitely think that working with them to transition is the right thing to do. I also requested of the school board chair of our area that I would like to see some type of closing ceremony that includes historical reference to our school, that this should be a time that should be remembered for people in our city that have gone to Cape View. There's many people that have gone there, even 60 years ago. So that request was put through to one of the support people that were there with the school system. But I really think that that's going to be an important thing, is to honor our school through this process.
Love that.
I believe Principal Long has already put something together. I'll check. I think they're having some sort of an open house for alumnus and the general public. But
Yeah, I think I saw something as well that I need to go refresh. It was either way.
Yes,
we
I
as
saw.
a city can play a role of some sort.
I saw the open house, and what I was discussing with them is a little different than that, because this should be ceremonial. This is a part of our history that we're closing the chapter on, and it should be treated as such, in my opinion.
I think that's a great idea. For me, I had a chance to meet with our city manager and a few of the other cities in the Atlantic, Satellite Beach, Cocoa Beach, Cocoa, and Congressman Herodopoulos, who brought forward his supporting staff, and he had just got back from DC and took his limited time to spend and listen to us, and we talked about things in that group that were important to us. And I want to just say shout out to our city manager and the supporting staff. We got a chance to express some of the concerns that we're all well aware of in the area. I mean, space, the lagoon, the port. And our city manager afterwards, I was in a conversation, but I walked over and he was talking to the grants coordinator and the staff and had a list of, first time I'm hearing some of these things, but excellent ideas and things that we can do to help really address funds for our city. And Cape Canaveral seemed like a flyover city, as we said in the past, and at times, and we are managing all the infrastructure with the port demands and what it's generated. And so I believe we got a congressman who wants to do something, and every one of us, as we interact with him, just keep echoing that we manage the roads, we take the hotels, we got the wastewater, but our city manager's on it, and I feel like we'll probably be getting updates on that in the new format with progress, or our city managers matters. And it's April 29th. It looks like Florida League of Mayors, Jeff Branch, I want to thank Lisa Day and all who were involved in the Rachel Imboden with the Florida League of Mayors. We're going to be hosting here, what's the league? But the city is providing the community center on that day, mid-morning, I think from 8 to 11, to have a breakfast there. And I'm going to learn a little bit more about it, but I do plan on being there. And I don't know if the council, at a minimum, if we're available, we can all connect and be a part of it and say hello. It'd be nice to.
What's the date on that?
It's April 29th, and the League of Mayors is, it's usually mayors only and mayor pro tem, but since we're the host city, maybe there's a time before or after, at a minimum, we can all say hello and greet the mayors from the other community that's going to be coming here. Yeah, I think there's.
Oh, wait, I'm looking at March. Never mind. Sorry.
No, that's Lisa really put it together.
And Mr. Mayor, I already
Yes.
registered for both days of that, just so you know.
Thank you. April 24th is the date that I have from 9 to 10:30. And then on April 23rd, there's the regional event that we're holding. That's out at the Space Center, though.
Yeah.
And so Mayor Pro Tem is referencing those. I'll check in and see if there's any more information for the council to consider. But that is it for now. And I will go to our. You have a comment?
Well, I have one comment in regards to the grants and our rep Herodopoulos. I did reach out to his grant writer in regards to us needing some funding for hardening things within our city, and they were very, very appreciative to hear from us and very excited to work with us. So I provided his grant worksheet and some site information that his rep gave me to our city manager, who has taken and run with that and done a fantastic job. So I just want to let you know that I had reached out to them since you didn't know. So.
No, it's great. I think he'd be responsive to any one of us, and I think if we can stay in front of him, all of us, it'll help. And with that, that concludes my reports. City Attorney? Councilmember Shoriat?
And we're also hosting League of Cities on the 9th. I thought it was the 13th.
Second Tuesday.
We're gonna have
Second Monday.
chocolates with our logo, our city logo on them.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
13th? Okay. Do we need to prepare anything or schedule? She'll handle.
Oh,
Okay.
Lisa's handling it,
All right,
okay.
we'll hit her up
All
for,
right.
see if we can get a chocolate
Yeah.
bar with her.
We were very impressed with the city of Rockledge and their chocolates. with their-
Cocoa and Palm Bay had their own city.
Palm Bay, it was Palm Bay,
chocolates.
yeah.
If
Yeah.
you authorize to spend that, we'll spend that.
Well.
So that was the 13th? Okay.
Monday the 13th, yes.
Cocoa has chocolates.
Cocoa had a round coin.
So Mayor Blake.
And
Oh,
well,
yeah.
Palm Bay had one too, and a rectangular one. Theirs was milk chocolate, Cocoa was dark chocolate. But
Yeah.
Rockledge didn't have their own city candy bar.
They did last year.
Did they?
Yes, they did. Rockledge did.
And I think they were Ghirardelli's. I mean, they didn't go on the cheap. It was not a Milky Way.
We're going to give them a bag of beach sand. Wait, That's native sand, we can't.
Oh, we can't touch it. Can't touch it.
Yes. City attorney, I think no reports from you. City manager?
No, I think I was remiss earlier during my evaluation, not thanking the community also for their input, and I just wanted to make sure that they knew that I was thankful for their input in that process.
Much appreciated. Anything from the city clerk's office, Amanda? Okay. Brevard County Sheriff's Office, anything we need to know? Any reports? Thank you so much for being here and all you do. And with that, I think we'll go ahead and adjourn.